Homeworthy. I'm Kristy. Welcome to the Truett House. Come on in. Let me show you around.
Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Susan. Welcome to our home in Louisiana.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Whitney. Welcome to my home in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on in.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Mark. Welcome to my home in Birmingham, Alabama. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Kristy McCormally. Welcome to the Truett House. We live in a 1909 home in the historic district of downtown Suffolk, Virginia. I am so glad to have you here, and I'm excited to show you our home. We found this house 4 years ago in the craziest sort of way. We were sitting in our home just outside of Fredericksburg, Virginia, just at the tail end of COVID, and my husband got an email that there was an auction and this house popped up. We were not looking for another home. We were happy in our beautiful Fawn Lake neighborhood, and we just decided, well, let's just go see it for fun. We came here. There were tours going on. We came on a Tuesday. It was to be auctioned on a Friday of the same week. We walked through the house, and somewhere along the way, my husband Brian and I got separated. I was looking at the gorgeous windows and the architecture of the home and just overwhelmed by the potential of it. And Brian, I think, was looking at the boiler and the HVAC system. So anyway, we found ourselves meeting up out by the carriage house. And I remember him walking out of the carriage house, and I greeted him from part of the back driveway and said, well, what do you think? And Brian looked at me and said, I think we should buy it. I said, I agree, and we did. We came back on Thursday of the same week and bought the Truett House, and we've never looked back. Welcome to the dining room. This is absolutely one of my most favorite rooms in the Truett House. I do love to entertain. I think some of the magic of life happens around the dining room table, and we use this one often. I set this table yesterday with my friend Ann Pavlak from the Globe in Virginia Beach, and she shared with me this extraordinary china that I just have to point out because it has a lot of history to it. This is heron, and this particular plate is called American Wildflower. It's only available in the United States, but it really speaks to the fact that we have gardens here and appreciate bringing all the florals in. And I just love having the pink there. These are beautiful pieces of William Yoward crystal, and I love it on the table. But this particular water glass is called the Virginia. That's the name of the pattern, and I just love that. We host in this dining room all the time. It is such an elegant room. It really wants extravagance, but it's also really comfortable with something very casual. And more often than not, that's how we're hosting in here. We do something in our community since we moved in called a Sunday supper. And when we moved here on short notice, we didn't know anyone, and we realized that it was very important to get to know our neighborhood. And as we met a person or two, we realized they didn't know each other either. People left this downtown area, and we used the table, the gathering, and the Sunday supper as a way for everyone to become a neighborhood and a downtown community again. Those Sunday suppers have been so special and so important to Brian and to me. We started out with maybe 12 people. It was awkward. They didn't know one another. And over the last 2 or 3 years, we now have about 35 people who come once a month for a Sunday supper. They're all in our neighborhood. Sometimes a guest gets to come. But the most important part is that in the beginning, we could see that everyone didn't know each other. And it was awkward, the conversation, just like at the beginning of a regular dinner party. People over that time have come to know their neighbors. They've come to know about everyone's children and who's getting married and who's having a baby and who's doing this or that. Just like a regular community, we've become a tight neighborhood, and that's fantastic. And that's the kind of thing that happens around a dining room table, and it's the kind of thing that the Truett House really does. That's what we use the house for, building community and making people feel welcome and good about themselves. That's what I enjoy, and that's what Brian enjoys. So we're really happy. That's one of the most important experiences that has happened here. But we probably entertain once a week. I love to cook, Brian's a great cook, and we have all kinds of experiences here. So it's really fantastic. I want to tell you, I can't talk to you about a dining room without telling you a little note about place cards. I use them. If there are 6 people, 8 people, I love to put out a place card. People like to know where to sit, and it also means they know that I've put a lot of thought into exactly where everyone should be. So the conversation is better, new people meet people they haven't met before, husbands and wives don't sit together, and everybody has better conversation. There's generally a purpose behind every dinner, someone you're honoring, something that you want to do, or even something you want to accomplish. And where people sit really makes a difference. Let me tell you about this piece. This is called an apron, and I see them often in homes in Suffolk and elsewhere now that I'm tuned into it. But when we bought the house, everything in it was part of the package except for this. And I got home and decided it's really something that we have to have. This belongs in this dining room. It is silver, and the story behind an apron is that they were used on narrow tables, and people would serve fruits or cookies, that sort of thing, or even flowers, and place it in the center of the dining room table so you had more room. They're decorative and functional, but she just looks like she wants to be here. The dining room, as I mentioned, is the other room that has one of the marble fireplaces. It's beautiful and a great way to warm the room when we're in here. This is stunning. It's the original chandelier that was in the house. The first time I came in here, and it was in the evening, and I flipped on the lights to the chandelier, that was the moment I really felt transported back to a time where I hadn't been. At the turn of the century, people stood in this room, they sat at a table, and they enjoyed beautiful meals and each other's company under this gorgeous chandelier. And it radiates through the entire room. It is really stunning. It's very special. The ceilings in here are 14 feet, and this is all original plaster work at the top. We have pocket doors that we close off from time to time. They're just as beautiful as anything else in here. The paneling, of course, is all original. We didn't do anything to change the house structurally. We just painted, sanded, brought in artwork, and tried to calm everything down. The room is so stunning and so magnificent with the ceiling height. It just really needed calmness so that you could appreciate all the architecture of it. These gorgeous Palladian windows, which we have in the dining room and then directly across from the entry hall in the living room. They're magnificent. Let me show you something special about it though. If you see right here, these chains are original, and these jib windows go all the way up into the ceiling so that you can, all 3 of them, so that you can walk in and out of the dining room and the living room onto the terraces on each side. In terms of decor, one of the things that made the biggest difference in this house was having these beautiful draperies made. It just softened the space, brought it all together, and I literally sat at the dining room table when they were finally installed and just looked at them. They were just so gorgeous. It made all the difference in the world. Let me point out a special artist that my husband has collected. He curated the paintings and the collection in the house. This is one of my favorite paintings. It's by Brad Overton, and I think we have about 5 of them. But these pomegranates are, I just don't have words. They are so gorgeous, and everyone who comes here likes to talk about this artist who does this photorealistic painting. He's very talented. One of the exceptional parts of the home are all of these gorgeous French doors along the front. And we have done many parties where you just open up the doors and you've got this gorgeous entryway. You're exposed to the outside and you're equally in a beautiful dining room. Some of my favorite parties in the house have been when you're able to dine inside and then move in and out through the dining room onto the portico and enjoy both spaces equally. The best events are when the weather is great and all the doors are open and you can have 300 people just disappear into this house because they can move into so many spaces. One of my favorite things to do at a dinner party is to offer the guests a Cersei. It's just a little thoughtful gift from the hostess. And because we're doing a floral theme at this table with this American wildflower, I purchased these. They're little pins, and you pin it to your, to your dress. So there will be one of these at everyone's place setting with some flower from the garden. It's a nice touch, makes everybody feel special and they know you thought about them. Welcome to the butler's pantry. I love this room. It is exactly as it was when we inherited it from the previous owner, except that we did paint it all in our Truett House blue color and kind of simplified everything. We brought in a table. My husband made this. He's quite a woodworker. And if I'm serving a casual buffet, you're gonna find the food right here. We all know that everybody congregates in the kitchen for everything. It's just the room. You can have a 10,000 square foot home and you'll find 100 of your guests inside the kitchen hovered around it. Always happens. This is the kitchen of this home, and if 50 people are here and I haven't set up a bar in the entry hall, they're gonna all be around this bar. This is where we lay everything out. It's a gorgeous space, and what I like about it most often is that I can close off the kitchen and just have everyone in here, so whatever's going on in there is really out of sight and out of mind. You can really appreciate the 14-foot height of the ceilings in here because of this light fixture. It fills up the space. We did add this. When it was installed the day before Thanksgiving, I think on our first Thanksgiving here. And literally the electrician had to disassemble it because it wouldn't fit through any of the doors. But we got it done, we're happy, and we had a great Thanksgiving with light in the butler's pantry. Another way that I use the space is for, obviously we have a coffee bar in here and this is a little refrigerator, but my husband and I both are involved in flowers in a different way. He grows them and I arrange them. And this has ended up being my flower sink whenever I'm cutting and arranging. I've got a little something going here in this really pretty William Yoward vase. This is a huge farm sink. When it's not arranging flowers and there's a party, a big one, it's full of ice and champagne. It's a great place. Everybody takes care of themselves, and we can keep everything that we need cold. I also like to set up bars in this area so that people can really help themselves. All of the cabinets around here, you can see, are just full of really pretty glassware of all kinds. And I don't know, I'm a fan of colored glass, so you'll see a lot of that in there. We have some really pretty, another really pretty painting. This is of the Truett House. In Suffolk, there is an event called a plein air art festival. It happens every fall. People in Suffolk host the painters during that art festival. And often you're gifted a painting by the people who stay with you. Also, you have an opportunity where people just come in the historic area and they paint your home. This was one that we just fell in love with and had to purchase. It was the first one we made of the plein air style in this house, which I really like. It's sort of impressionistic, so one of my favorites. This is another painting by Brad Overton. It was commissioned and it's just perfect for the space. It's really, really beautiful. This is a super old one, just to tell you that you don't have to have all the best art. As long as it touches your heart, it's something really important. I think I purchased this 30 years ago, and it's not particularly grand or even so well done, but it makes me think of my mother and my sister and me. So I have a special moment every time I walk by it. Here's something else that probably not many people have in their butler's pantries or even in their homes. This is how radiators were adapted to modernize the kitchen. It is radiant heat that heats up. We understand two different kinds of things. You could heat up a dish and keep it warm before serving it in the dining room, or you could also heat bricks that you would put into something and then slide under the sheets to warm up the bed before you slept at night. I use it for something completely different. First of all, I think it's just beautiful. It's like a piece of art. This is just such beautiful ironwork, but that's where I keep all the silver, the cutlery. They're all rolled up, and anyway, pretty and useful and in the right space. Honestly, it's not even hooked up to anything anymore. I just love it so much. I feel like it belongs in here. Here we are in the Truett House kitchen. The previous owner was a French chef, and she really did me a solid by renovating this kitchen. The only thing that we had to change out are a couple of the appliances. We changed out the stone and repainted everything, maybe decluttered some of the cabinetry, but I love this kitchen. It is a fabulous place to work in. This chopping block we found at a little secondhand store just down the street. Brian loved it, brought it home, restored it, and here we have it in the kitchen. It turns out that one of the girls that works with me often said, "That looks really familiar." She shows a picture to her sister who said, I think that was my dad. Their dad has now passed away. So the mom sends a picture and said, absolutely, that's it. They had pushed it out to the side of the road because the wheel was broken on a skateboard, and someone picked it up. It ends up finding its way into this secondhand store, and now it found its way into this home. I love it. You can see the great indentations of where it was used. So it's really terrific. I do enjoy this really pretty farm sink, and we've got all the modern conveniences. One of the funny stories that I enjoy sharing is the fact that when Brian asked me if I really want to move here to this house, I said, well, absolutely. You had me at 3 dishwashers. So there's a dishwasher here, a dishwasher in the butler's pantry, and another one on the 3rd floor. That's a good thing. Some women collect shoes. I collect china. So this is my china closet, and it makes me very happy. I don't think that a table, if this is your passion, should have to look the same all the time. I like to wear a different dress every day. I like my tables to be able to change too. In this closet, I have table linens, tablecloths of many different sizes. In this closet, there's a lot of silver. Cutlery, different kinds of silverware, favorite cookbooks, that sort of thing. And this is where I try to prepare for an upcoming party. I might meet with the chef, or if I'm cooking myself, I'll figure out, and it's a multi-course meal, I'll try to figure out exactly what I want to serve and what I want the table to look like or feel like. So here we're hosting a dinner as a fundraiser with Harper Bradshaw at Harper's Table in the fall for 4 kids. And I know we have 4 courses, and I know that this is some of the china that I want to use. So I'll lay it out, invite Harper over, and then he'll probably design his meal around whatever is fresh in the season and what would look good on the plates that I pull. I've been collecting all of this for nearly 40 years, and I use every single bit of it, some more than others. Some moods are blue, some moods are white, but I really have something for every kind of occasion. For example, I haven't used these, but I know what I want them for. It's a forget-me-not plate, and it's an antique, and I have a pretty big set, but I think that this wants to have fried chicken and succotash and a biscuit and maybe a fresh tomato. This belongs at my Sunday supper. And we've got other collections of very casual kind of things. These are great little casseroles that I use at Thanksgiving. And then you can see chargers, a large selection of white, because all food looks good on white, and sometimes it's the only answer for what you're serving. We have some silver here, beautiful glassware, serving pieces in the back, and you can just barely shimmy through to get to each space. But I'm able to move the carts around and get to other china patterns that I might not use as often. So we've got some fine china things back there, some very, very old Haviland patterns, and just serving pieces that I've been collecting for a long time. I enjoy this space. It is the biggest luxury to me in the house, to be able to have everything to host the way I want to host. I know what to collect and maybe what I need to get rid of and what I've forgotten that I had. So this is my favorite space in the Truett house. Plates aren't the only thing that can make a table special, and I have a particular passion for napkins and linen napkins. I enjoy using cloth napkins in everyday entertaining, but most often those are just a white set that lives in the kitchen all the time, easy to clean and easy to use. But for fun, we have all these, a minimum of 8 because that's probably the fewest number we host, and usually 12 to 16, but they're arranged in color, and some are monogrammed, some are fancy, some are not, some are antiques, some are still in their packages, but I knew they were great, so I had to have them. Anyway, it's just a wonderful way to use this space. I fell in love with the house because it has the most amazing personality. There is light to beat the band in here. The architecture with the windows really takes my breath away, as does it with everyone who comes in. It's a really happy home, and it just feels like it wants a party all the time. It was also built for someone who loves to entertain and have people over. It's gracious. There's a lot of balance in the way the home is laid out. There's a space for everything you want to do, and they're beautiful transitions to the outdoors. When we moved here, the gardens needed a lot of work. There actually weren't any gardens. And that's one of my husband's loves and gifts. So he created something magical, and I just knew that the bones of the house were so amazing that we could build something really special here. It embodied everything that I love: cooking, hosting, entertaining, all of that. Design, living in a beautiful historic space with all of the things that he really loves, which are gardening and woodworking and also just being in a beautiful historic home. So I just want to point out about the garden. As we tour, you'll notice that there are arborvitae planted all the way around the house. There are probably a couple hundred of them. And we did that so we could create privacy for our space. When we bought the Truett house, there really wasn't anything to speak of when it comes to thinking about a garden. So Brian had everything stripped back and started with the dirt. And from the dirt, a new sprinkler system, a new well, and then beautiful thousands of plantings all the way around. So we have all the great southern plants out here. We have hydrangea, we have viburnum, we have camellias. There's always something miraculous blooming all throughout the year. Any garden club member will tell you, you always want to have something blooming so you can always have a great cutting to make an arrangement. I think we did that. So you'll see all these beautiful pots everywhere. We have over 100 pots in our garden, and my husband starts them in the basement every January from seed or a plug, so that when everything is planted out at the end of April, we have a full-blown garden right from the get-go. We're walking around to the east side of the house, and here we have the rose garden and the east terrace. And you can see it's just awash in beautiful pink flowers. There are hydrangeas on this side and viburnums and trees beyond that. In the wintertime, whenever the viburnums fall back, there are camellias behind those. It's really a beautiful southern garden. Brian has a real talent for woodworking and gardening. And in no place is it better seen than in this space, in this rose garden. We believe that this space was installed by a few owners back, the Crumplers, back in the 60s. It was formatted like you would expect a rose garden to be. But when we moved here, there was nothing over here but dead grass and rocks. So this entire garden has been built and is flourishing in just 4 years. On to my favorite terrace. This really is where we gather in the spring and in cooler times of the summer and in the fall. The party always seems to move out here into this just great outdoor base. Brian and I were sitting out here maybe the second year we were here, and I noticed bees just kind of congregating up along the roof line. As it turns out, we had someone come over to check it out, and they found indeed that there were beehives inside the roof and the attic of the house. So they removed some of the framing from the roof line and found 50,000 bees over here. Then they went over to the other side of the house, removed the same kind of roof space, and found another 200,000 bees. They can tell that by the way they measure them. So over the course of a couple of weeks, we had all of the honeycomb removed, we extracted the honey, and ended up with 13 gallons of honey just from our attic. Pretty special. We still have plenty to give away. Anyway, all the bees went to a new home and they're living happily ever after. I love this. This arbor Brian built for me about 3 years ago, and in 3 years, these climbing roses have turned into this. It's miraculous, and they bloom out about the time of the Kentucky Derby, so it's just draped and dripping in red roses. I love this space. It frames, it's pretty. It also backs up to the windows of the family room, so there's always something substantial and green here. These obelisks hold more ladybank roses, and they've really taken to this space. We also have clematis going in with it, so there's always something in bloom. The ladybanks are one of the first things to bloom, and that happens in April. The roses in this space are so very happy. They have their first huge flush, and then we're into our second one now. I always have roses to cut from early May through November. This is Brian's extra passion. He is out here every morning pruning the roses, doing whatever thing he does to them to make them special. But this is one of the things we enjoy, and we always have fresh flowers in the house because of this. The gardening just never stops. Not only do we have the flowers, but we also have tomatoes and just a little kitchen garden out here. Fresh herbs, will be squash and mostly tomatoes and peppers, but we'll have some soon. There are a few red ones already. We enjoy the little seating moments everywhere. The space really adapts well to that. There's just this flush of hydrangea and camellias back here, and the butterfly bushes everywhere. It is just so vibrant. Come this way. This is a particularly lovely space at the Truitt House. My husband is a permanent koi ponder. This is, I think, is his 5th pond. We had a pond at our previous home, and all of these fish moved to Suffolk in individual little bags. I will tell you that when we moved in, there was nothing back here but dirt and gravel. Not even grass was growing. So because we needed to have a place for the fish, we only had 3 months to get a pond installed. Being in the historic district, that was a bit of a climb given the rules for developing and building in a historic property. Fortunately, we dug up a water feature back here, and we were able to convince them to let us install this water feature. So there are about 22 fish. They're all about this big. Anyway, they're gorgeous. This is a place that people love to come to. The children, people who are just walking by, party guests always end up out here. And it's just a really soothing moment. You can sit on the back porch and you're just listening to the sound of water. It's really special. This little garden room is brand new to the Truitt House. Before, again, it was just gravel and dirt and nothing special. So we created this space to have a little dining area out here, and we use it quite a lot. My herb garden is out here because the kitchen is just off to my left, and there's a grill, and it's just a beautiful seating space to be in. This building, we're not really sure what it used to be. I don't know if it was an ice house or some kind of work shed, but it now houses all of the equipment for the pond and the fountain. This is a gorgeous walkway, particularly right now because it's flanked with all these gardenias, and the air just smells like perfume. This space, this walkway, is original. And I want to point out a couple things. One is that in 4 years, these wisteria plants have grown from this height to all this. So there's a lot of happy gardening happening here. They just love it. Everything else is azaleas and just these really pretty pots and ferns, everything you'd have in a normal southern garden. As for the house, it's brick. The walls are 16 inches wide, so there are 3 rows of bricks inside each wall. A row of bricks, there's an airspace brick, and it creates a really substantial wall. We also have these brick columns. I can't tell you the number of conversations we've had with friends and guests who are just trying to figure out, ourselves included, how on earth they were installed. We've had to have some brick repair work done here since we moved in, and of course with the pond. And even the brick masons can't figure out exactly how they perfectly laid these bricks. But it's really a stunning feature, and I think a unique part to the Truitt House. So now we're on the screen porch. This sound, it's just magic. Anybody who has that screen porch will tell you that it's one of the most wonderful sounds to hear. We're back here in the afternoon almost every day. You don't need a watch. You need nothing out here to know that you're in one of the most beautiful spaces in Suffolk. We can hear the water here. There are peanut producers who are roasting peanuts around the area, close enough that you can literally smell the peanut roasting in the air. It smells like chocolate chip cookies. I can't explain it. So you hear the water, you smell cookies. The church across the street plays carolyn bells. So 3 times a day, we're serenaded with the most beautiful church hymns and carolyn bells. I can sit back here and literally catch myself smiling as I hear the sound of those. It's a very special moment. It just lets me know that we're in a good place. I know that it's time to go in when the sun sets behind the Main Street Methodist Church. That means it's time for supper. So this is one of my absolute favorite spaces because it takes me back to my childhood, having a screen porch and all those wonderful sounds. Here we are in the living room of the Truett House, and I wanted to point out the music mezzanine. It was designed for people to play and entertain during special events. This is where we keep a baby grand piano. It happens to be a player piano since neither my husband nor I play, but for events we've had people play the piano often, and it is so spectacular. The acoustics of this home are really magnificent. In this space, we also have an office for my husband. Let me point out this other really strange feature. When we got home after touring the house, we had this conversation about this fireplace. And I told my husband I thought it must be a fake fireplace because there's no chimney. Where does everything go? Where does the smoke go? And as it turns out, this was one of the original fireplaces that had a backdraft that was built in so it connects with another chimney, which you've seen in the dining room. But it does indeed work, and we use it all through the winter, and it is a real fireplace, not a fake fireplace. So this room, again, has 14-foot ceilings. They're beautiful. The molding is original. We have a similar kind of drapery in this room as we do in the dining room. When we moved into the Truett House, it was formerly a bed and breakfast. And so the spaces were organized differently where they maximize the seating opportunities. Since it's a primary residence for us, we really wanted to tone everything down, keep it quiet, the colors simple, so that the architecture could do all the talking. And that's exactly what we were able to achieve with this. I'm very happy in this soft room. The color that we use everywhere in the house is really a cream and a very soft blue with a little bit of color here and there, and most often it's brought in by the flowers and through the paintings. This wonderful little chest was purchased from a French antique store across the street, which is no longer there, but we were able to acquire a couple of really fun pieces for this house. It is my opinion for our decorating and styling here that in an old home, we want it to feel comfortable and livable and really approachable. And we do that by bringing in modern soft touches that are convenient and easy to enjoy. But we always want to have at least 1 or 2 beautiful antique pieces in the space so that we're respecting the room and the heritage of the area. These windows, again, are the Palladian windows that we talked about before, jib windows that go all the way up into the wall. So you literally could walk from terrace, through the living room, through the entry hall, through the dining room, onto the east terrace when all the windows up, and it's just a grand space to be able to spread out in. And I really think that was the intention of it. Plus at the time, no air conditioning, you need as much airflow as you could possibly get. This is another one of the Brad Overton paintings. I mean, what can I say? It's just so special. We enjoy having them. So this is the family room. Look at these gorgeous French doors. You can see out onto the east terrace and enter and exit into that space. And you also see the beautiful rose arbor that's over on the side. It's one of the first things to bloom in the spring, and it's just loaded with roses. This is where we really relax. This is our special family room, and that's my favorite chair. It's a swivel gliding rocker, and I think I could rule the world from that space. So this is where we just have our casual supper every evening. Brian usually sits here and creates a desk for himself, does his emails and his work, and we watch television together and, you know, just make it an easy space. It's also the space, no matter how big the house is, that if you have 10 house guests, they're all in this room together. So we try to adapt it to seating, but this is just where it's our home, end of the day, relaxing into the evening spot, and I absolutely love it. We found this beautiful walnut armoire that I think really makes the space, and I enjoy this piece. It's been converted into a gift closet and wrapping station on the inside. The woodwork in here is all oak. The house and the entire neighborhood are on the historic register. And this house in particular is on the historic registry for its use of wood. Mr. Truitt was a lumber magnate, and he collected wood for 20 years to build this home. And so you will see on all 3 floors this gorgeous woodwork, and in here it's oak, followed by this brick arrangement. Initially, I didn't care for the darkness of the room, but over time, I just find it really calming and settling to be in here. It's extra special. We use this fireplace all the time. They've all been converted to gas. They were originally coal burning, but this is an important space and it adds a warmth to the room in the wintertime. Welcome to the library. I think this is the space that's the most popular with guests. It is a remarkable display of curly pine. Mr. Truitt collected this particular wood, like I said, for 20 years, and it is said to be collected from one tree. The floors are curly pine, the trim and molding is curly pine. It's best to see it if you actually look at the back of the door. It looks like burl. It is just so beautiful. To be in this space, you can really appreciate it, but I hope you get an idea of how unique it is. Brian bought this beautiful painting of this horse when he lived in Salt Lake City, and I think it was actually intended to be in this home. It's fantastic, and it just belongs in a library. This is the other painting that was commissioned by Mr. Truitt for this home. The artist who came down in horse and buggy and painted these, installed them, and it's been here since 1909. It really is in need of repair, and we'll get to that. This room actually had, prior to our living here and even the previous owner, there was some water damage for some reason that came down through the top, and it really, really caused some damage to this particular painting. But you can just imagine how beautiful it will be when it's restored. The scenes are local to the area, and at that time, Suffolk is really built up now, but at that time there were great pastoral areas. And it'd be nice to know who the artist was and where this scene was actually captured. But it is really, really beautiful and very special. This light fixture is original. It has pieces that sweep down this way with a little globe on each one. And when we bought the Truett house, 5 of them existed, but some of the globes had been broken. So at some point, we'll try to find an artist who can remake something like that. There actually is an art museum in Norfolk called the Chrysler, and they have an entire art studio. So we do know people that can actually do that kind of fine work, and I look forward to finishing it off the way it was originally. We set the tone for the room based on this gorgeous curly pine. It's warm, it wanted navy to go with it, and after we started there, we were just looking for a way to make it all work out. I love this tapestry fabric that's in the shades. It's really beautiful, right accent. It's just a comfortable room to be in. We do use it more in the winter than we do in the summertime though. But anyway, it's a really lovely space. Another thing I enjoy about this is the proximity to this other terrace. There are 2 terraces. There's this one and one on the other side of the house, and they're exactly the same. This is the West Terrace, and a couple of times a year, it's perfect for hosting parties. Late in the day, the sun sets, and you just have this gorgeous shaded area. It's also a place we can come to serve a beautiful breakfast because the sun's not out over here yet, and it's cool and comfortable, but it's really special. And I love that you can access it through the space. Like many Southern women, I grew up with traditions from my mother, my grandmother, who always entertained people. It might be entertaining in a fancy way. It could also be gracious and in a very casual way. Always families got together, friends got together on weekends and regular evenings, planned and impromptu. I grew up in a small Southern Baptist church in a little town called White Springs, Florida, and my mother and grandmother and all the ladies of the church celebrated everyone's wedding, their reception, their baby showers, deaths. Anything that was important was celebrated through food and people and being together. So I learned from those women how important it was to create a place where people could actually be together and celebrate the moments that are meaningful. So I took that experience, and for the last 40 years, from the time I left college, I have always carried that with me and loved entertaining. It just makes me happy to set up a situation where other people can enjoy a gracious environment and relax and take a deep breath and just enjoy being together. This is really a gorgeous space. We use it often. My husband made these tables for me when we were in our old home. I wanted to be able to seat 16 people at a really long table for a dinner. Since then, we brought them to this home, and they've been reorganized into this big square table. We can have 10 people at this space, and we do have 10 people as often as we possibly can. It is most casual, but also can be dressed up to something really elegant. I love blue and white. The house is done in those colors, and I have fine china and casual china in many different patterns in blue and white. It just blends here, and you can see this really pretty country estate pattern from Jalisca. We do have a house logo that we had made. I don't know how well you can see it here, but you'll see it in other places. But it says the Truett House. I always think that's a nice touch when you can want to level up your table. Also, these glasses, they're made by a company called Abigail's Home, and I hosted a house party a couple of years ago, and my hostess gift was a set of these blue glasses. I loved them. And since then, I have collected those glasses in every color they make, and these gorgeous wine glasses that go with in many colors as well. I like to use colored glassware on a table. It's just really beautiful. So casual, put a monogram on your napkin, and you're good to go. Brian built this lattice after we moved here, and these, they're not in bloom right now, but they're actually roses. They're called Lady Bank roses, and we live on Bank Street. Something kind of special. You'll notice the bricks. They're called tapestry bricks, and they were very popular in the early 1900s. A very elevated material to have in your home, and Mr. Truitt built these two patios and the back porch out of these gorgeous tapestry bricks. We were sitting at that very table a couple of years ago, and our friend Alan Brown, who owns a bed and breakfast around the corner, said to Brian, "You know what you need here? You need a water feature." Well, that's all Brian needed to hear. So we ended up going to a nearby town and finding a fountain that we could order. And it has been one of the most beautiful additions to this side of the house. We created this patio space, and all of the gardening that's over here is new, just like in the rest of the garden space. But I particularly love this. It's more shaded. You've got these huge magnolia trees that are just at the end of their blooming season. So we live in a historic neighborhood in downtown Suffolk. And what happens in historic spaces is that over time, people leave and they move to suburb areas. So it is common that you'll see a decline in a neighborhood such as this, or in a historic space. It's happened in Charleston, it happened in Savannah, etc. Almost always it starts with a group of women who decide, no more, you're not going to get rid of our historic spaces. People had been fighting that fight in downtown for a long time, and we of course fell in love with this home and just decided that we're going to plant a flag and fight for this space. We can see what it was meant to be, and that's what we believe in. Across the street, this home was built in 1905, and we purchased that a couple of years ago. We're planning to do something very special over there. In the last 4 years, we've learned so much about taking care of a historic home. This is not my husband's first historic home. He owned a beautiful one in Salt Lake City, but when we married and then later decided to move to Suffolk for this one, I think it's given us both a run for our money in good ways. Just as soon as you finish repairing something, there's another big job to do. In particular, in this historic home, in the last year, my husband removed every single one of 42 shutters, which were original from 1909, had them stripped down, repaired where they needed to have new slats, and repainted them all and replaced them on the house. So there are little things like that that you just wouldn't think about. Chipping paint, peeling, we're constantly touching up paint, even though we did a complete renovation when we moved in, and every piece of the house was sanded, refinished, repainted, and touched in some kind of way. 4 years later, we're still dealing with repairing that kind of thing. And then there are old pipes that you have to deal with. I mean, original pipes from 1909 that we're still dealing with. There's just a lot, but it's good. It keeps us busy. So here we are in the entryway. If you look up, you'll see in the portico that we have the ceiling painted haint blue, and that's just a Southern tradition. I don't know if it means it wards off evil spirits or if it actually is the kind of thing that gets rid of birds and bugs. There are all kinds of stories about why you paint a ceiling on the outside haint blue, but here you go. We are not the people to break that tradition. We did have to dig up all of the bricks along this sidewalk and have them reset. Over the years, they just become a bit dangerous. But now we're easy and safe welcoming people. There's a marble finish all the way around every space, and it's Italian marble. And in this portico, it's 66 feet by 20 something of beautiful marble space. I think of this marble surround on the house as the house showing off its jewelry. So it looks fancy before you even arrive, but it's most welcoming once you get inside. The carving detail is really exceptional. And you also have a princess balcony upstairs, which is just off the morning room that belonged to Mrs. Truitt. Here in the vestibule, there's a mosaic, a gorgeous marble tile mosaic. And I wonder if you can see this beautiful compass rose that was installed. That is north. So we always know our way. Welcome to the entry hall of the Truitt House. This is one of the most magnificent spaces that we have. It really makes grown men go silent. The mahogany stairway is stunning. It just appears to be floating in the entryway. It takes my breath away. It was one of the features in the house that I really loved the most. There are 9 fireplaces in the Truitt House, and this is one of them. 2 of the fireplaces are marble. And I'd love to draw your attention to this painting. Mr. Truitt, who built the house in 1909, had an Italian artist come from New York in a horse and buggy to do 2 original paintings, and this is one. It needs some attention by a preservationist, but for now, it's beautiful. We love it, and I love the story behind it. It's been here since it was installed way back then. In this house, there are beautiful, forward entry points, and this is our back door. And back at the turn of the last century, there was no air conditioning, so they'd have the doors open in both places, screen doors, and you'd have the beautiful movement of air and breezes to cool the house. It didn't have, until about 10 years ago, any kind of air conditioning, so it's pretty magnificent. I want to show you a couple of pieces that I really like in this room. This one is actually a walnut bookcase, and we use it to show all of the silver that we've collected and that's been handed down. It's really pretty. I love to see it in this way. Also, this is something that we just recently purchased. It is an entry hall table, a desk, but when it started its life in the early 1800s, it was a pianoforte. And around 1865, they stopped being in fashion. And so owners of the furniture or the pianofortes would have them turned into desks. And you can see here where the keyboard used to be. So they put a new piece of rosewood in it, took out the inside or the guts of the piano and put a top on it. And it ends up being this beautiful, beautiful piece of rosewood furniture. So I'm really happy about that. Let me also draw your attention to the light fixture here. This is original to the house. It's brass, it's beautiful, and it really sets the tone for this particular space. This is another one of the Brad Overton paintings, and it has the best story. When my husband purchased it, she was only painted to here, so he had no idea what the rest of the painting would look like. Buy it anyway, and it turns out to be this magnificent painting of what is the painter's wife, and he did this beautiful chinoiserie on the back. Every woman that comes here claims that that's her. This is the stairwell, and there are 54 stairs from the bottom to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor is where our primary suite is. It was originally built as a ballroom, and because the home is from 1909, we're only one generation away from people who actually knew Mr. Truitt, knew Mr. Obasi, another peanut person who started Planters Peanuts in the area. They would all gather in this area and have parties on the 3rd floor. But the folks that we know actually remember using it as a child for bowling when their parents gathered, or playing all kinds of games up there, even cotillion. Here we are in the original primary suite that belonged to Mr. Truitt. The house had 2 Jack and Jill bathrooms on this floor. There are 2 bedrooms on this side, a morning room, and then 2 bedrooms on the other side, and they each shared a bathroom. There's very little closet space, and the previous owner actually came through and, because she was using it as a bed and breakfast, created an ensuite for every different room, so they all have their own private baths, and that's really terrific for hosting people. Here's a wonderful historic moment to point out. This house has a really unusual way of opening and closing the shutters. It still works, it's original, but you can turn this crank and it will literally close the shutters from the outside in. Still working. I've thought a lot about what home means to me, and the thing that I keep coming back to is noise. Home is about the noise and the balance on the other side of the quiet. Let me give you an example. When we're having people over here, and it can be anything from 4 people to 80, it doesn't matter. I am often, before the event starts, back in the butler's pantry, and when I hear the noise of people in this house, it just echoes through the entire entry hall. I know something good is happening. It feels alive, it makes me happy. I know we're doing what we're supposed to do. Those are magnificent moments for me. They fill my soul. That is the one side of what home means. On the other hand, to balance it out, so you've got the energy to do the big events and the big experiences and the house full of people, it also means the quiet and being able to find a wonderful, lovely spot where you can sit and catch your breath, or be quiet and have a morning coffee, or whatever it is you want to do. But I treasure those times here so that my cup gets filled until the next time I open the door. So it's the noise and the quiet and everything in between that makes your cup full, so that you can keep inviting people into both sides of that.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.
Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Susan. Welcome to our home in Louisiana.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, my name is Susan Roland, and I am the founder of Fireside Antiques. Our home is in St. Francisville, Louisiana, and we're just so happy you're joining us today. Well, we lived across the street for about 35 years, and that's where I raised our 6 children. And this property that we're on now was right across the road from our original property, and someone was going to put in a development here. We live in a rural area in St. Francisville, and there are no developments up here, and we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin the place we love and cherish so much that we've, want to keep in our family forever. So we purchased this property about 14 years ago. This property was an old abandoned cow farm, and it was grown up. It had been abandoned for some time. There were we have a lake out front. It was ringed in tallow trees, and there were no roads, and there were fence rows and trees everywhere, and it was a bit of a mess. But of course, my husband said, you know, I'm going to have to buy a bulldozer. I'm going to have to buy a track hoe. I got to get this property in shape. And then I saw him bonding over here, and I thought, So we got to where we would come over here in the afternoons. You know, we just lived across the street. We'd come over here in the afternoons for cocktail hour and watch the sunset. And we had never lived anywhere where we could actually see the sun setting. And we kind of just got more and more in love with the property. And we were having a conversation one day, and we said, you know, when we grow old or we grow to the point where we can't travel and we can't do all these things, where do we want to spend our time? And that's when we decided to build this house. We have 14 bedrooms across the street, so nothing about building another house really made sense, except for we needed a lot more public space. Our family with 6 kids and 11 grandkids and in-laws, we're at 24. And so we decided, okay, we'll build a 1-bedroom house, and we'll have a big public area that we can entertain in and spend time with our family and friends. Our children still come to the house across the street all the time. They all have their bedrooms. Their kids love being there. And when we've had enough of our kids, we can just like come home to our 1-bedroom house. So that's when we decided to build. You are in the foyer of our house. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the architectural details of this very contemporary house we built. You can see that we have used white oak French wide plank flooring, 18th century. Chateau Domingue, Ruth at Chateau Domingue sourced this floor for us. This flooring came out of 4 different houses to get enough flooring to do this project, and then we bleached it. I love how rough it is. I love the modern and the roughness of these floors, how they work together. But I'd also like to point out a few pieces of furniture in this room. One of my favorite pieces of art is this religious fragment from a church. It's probably 15th or 16th century. It's of St. Francis. You can see how the color has worn, is faded, and the gold gilding is faded, but it definitely would have been used in a church. And I love that St. Francis is the name of the town where I live, and St. Francis is my favorite saint, so I was so excited to find this piece of art. And then we had Anne Connolly frame it in this background, this wonderful blue background with the gold gilding, and I think she did a great job. One of the oldest pieces of furniture in this house is this George I console table. It's an amazing piece of furniture made in the early 1700s. I know I talked about why I love antiques so much, and it's just the craftsmanship, the beauty of the materials, the authenticity of what so many of these pieces show. Like for an example, this piece of marble. This is early 1700s. This piece of marble is cut out of the block. It's hand chiseled. You can look at the workmanship of the edges of this marble. It's just incredible. Probably came from the Tuscany area of Italy. As you can tell as you walk through the house, I love birds. I love nature. One of the big things in our house is viewing nature. We watch the deer and the turkey and the geese and the ducks and all the wildlife that surrounds us. These are French majolica birds, which are great blue herrings, and we even have great blue herrings in Louisiana. But anyway, I love how beautiful they are. I love the color. One of my favorite pieces of art too here is Paula Rubino, and she is an artist that shows at Ann Long Gallery in Charleston. But I love all the geometric patterns in her dress. I love that she's holding this chicken so tenderly and the rhubarb in her basket. She's wonderful. I also like hanging art over windows as well. I have a cross here, which is a relic. It has a bone of St. Christopher is the bone in this particular relic I have. The lamp would have been an oil-burning lamp that we've converted into an electric lamp. I love mixing contemporary, vintage, and modern and antiques together. And this area just kind of shows it. We've got these apparatus lights with horsehair, modern, handmade in New York, fabulous pair of sconces, and then this wonderful mirror. It's a French framed mirror. I think at one time this was probably architectural elements in a house somewhere around a doorway or something, and someone has made it into a mirror. But if you look at the carving, it's incredible. I just love all this carving. And you know, sometimes people say, oh, well, is it a true antique? It's like, well, parts of it are, but it's how you put things together that I think is the most important part. My husband and I we talked for some time before we decided to build a house, because we've never built a house together. We've been married for a long time, and we decided, and we wondered if we built a house, if we'd still be married at the end. And so we came up with a plan to be able to work through this. So we came up with the conclusion that he was over how it worked, and I was over, is it beautiful? And so we kind of ruddered through the project that way, and we did great. We're still married. So I approached Bobby McAlpine when we decided to build, because I had worked with his design firm a lot at Fireside Antiques, furnishing antiques for the homes he did. And I approached him and I said, Bobby, I know that I want the kind of house that you don't typically do. I know we want big metal grid floor to ceiling windows. I know we want a flat ceiling. We want a very contemporary house. Would you please talk to me about that? And he did right off. And he came up with some fabulous ideas for this home. He had a way of softening the contemporary feel to make it feel homey and comfortable. And it was just a beautiful experience. And now we come into our dining room. We spend a lot of time in here. We have a Gio Ponte table that is wonderful. As you see, it's not just rectangular, it kind of points in the middle, which is really cool because it angles the chairs and it's really nice for conversation. Over to your right, we have a refreshissoir, which is wonderful for like having chilled wine and extra wine glasses that you can move up to the table. And then we have two wonderful Italian Greek hand-carved wood sculptures of Daphne and Apollo. I love the story about Daphne and Apollo. I don't know if you remember the story, but it's a wonderful story, and they don't really unite together ever in love, except for every Valentine's Day, I have a Valentine's party at my house, and all my friends know you bring Valentine cards or candy for everybody at the party, and I draw Daphne and Apollo together in love, and they're reunited that night at my Valentine's party. I do this every year because I feel like things in your house need to live happily ever after. They need to be happy things. And I didn't quite know the story about Daphne and Apollo until I got them, and I thought, well, I've got to change that. I love setting a table. Every time I set a table, it's different. I collect hyacinth vases, one of the many things you'll find that I collect. And I love just strewing them and doing fresh flowers from the garden. I don't buy flowers. Whatever we grow, whatever is seasonal in the garden is what we use for our flowers. We have the fresh flowers on the table, but we also have these oil-burning lights, which have a wonderful, nice glow to them. Instead of an actual candle, they're oil-burning lamps. And so that's what I've chosen on the table today. But every time you come to my house, I'm going to have something different. You know, I love to set the table. Sometimes I don't love doing all the cooking and setting the table, but I love setting the table. Our slip-covered chairs are just a wonderful light fabric. I like the pattern it gives to the room. They're comfortable. Love our slip-covered chairs. The Italian chandelier is probably 18th century. It's Italian. It came from a church. You know, if you ever go to the churches in Europe, especially in northern Italy where this particular chandelier is from, you may see 20 or 30 chandeliers in a church, and they're all alike. This chandelier came from a church in northwest Italy. In our dining room, we can seat 12 people at this table, but we can put 2 long dining tables in here, and we can seat 36 people. So I feel like a lot of time with clients, they feel like, oh, I can only seat 8 people, or I can only seat 6 people in my house. You can always kind of work creative ways to bring in some other little tables and seat a lot more people sometime than you think you can. I think it's important to create a home that is warm and welcoming to everyone that walks in the door. It's not a showroom. It's not a place that you, oh, don't sit on this or don't touch that. It's a place to be enjoyed. I think it's important to use everything you have in your home. Eat on your special dishes. Use your silverware. Use your crystal glasses. Life is a celebration. You should enjoy your life. You should enjoy the things you have. Don't have things in your home that you don't love and that you don't use all the time. Your home is not a museum. So now we're coming into the first seating area in our salon. As you can tell, this whole room is ringed in glass because our views are so incredible outside. We'll touch on that a little bit more later, but we're floor-to-ceiling glass. I just love bringing the outdoors in. As you see with this seating arrangement, I can actually move these chairs out and seat more people at dining tables. Makes a wonderful, cozy little nook for people to sit at. It's kind of framed by this Gustavian buffet that we have here. We have a beautiful painting by John Evans. I love the lily pads. I love the lightness. To me, all the light in our house reflect the water and the lilies. I have a lot of things I collect here on the counter. You know, my daughter Laura asked me, she goes, "Mom, how many things do you collect?" And I thought that was kind of a personal question, but I thought, okay, well, not that many. And I counted, and I actually collect well over 30 different things. You know, a collection is when you have 3 or more of something. But, you know, these are things I need. Here we have a lot of boxes that I love, the turtle shell boxes, tortoise shell boxes with the mother of pearl inlay. That's just one of my many favorite things. But you think back to 1820, and you're going to make this box. You've got to have the turtle. Well, the turtle, these are made in England, so the turtle is coming from the Caribbean. You got to get the turtle shell. You've got to process it. You've got to build the box. You've got to get the mother of pearl shell. You've got to inlay all that into this beautiful tea caddy. And tea caddies were such a symbol of wealth or refinement back in that time because tea was so important. And not many people had tea, the tea coming from China. And so there was normally always a lock on the box because you would lock it because you didn't want anybody to get into your tea caddy. But this is another example of a tea caddy. This is a wonderful sewing box. You can just see, I mean, look how beautiful that mother of pearl is inlaid into that tortoiseshell box. Another highly collectible thing back in the Victorian era was shell art because, you know, people all over the world, they didn't know about different shells or what was going on anywhere, and they were so excited to be able to travel and get things and bring them home. And so it was this whole movement of shell art. People would take these shells and they would make these wonderful flower arrangements using only shells, and then they'd put a glass dome over them. So the other pieces of furniture we have in this area is we have a pair of Louis XVI style gold gilt bergères, and they date probably 1850 or earlier. We have a pair of French directoire chairs, which are very simple in style, but that was a directoire style coming off of some of the more ornate periods that were before that time. We also have a wonderful milk paint Gustavian folding table. I love the milk paints. I love painted furniture. And on it is what so many people call the name of a tabletop chandelier. And you would see a lot of those, the girandoles, you'd see a lot of those, and they were all candlelight. And back in the early time, you were always trying to reflect light. So you wanted crystal, you wanted candlelight, you wanted mirror glass, you wanted anything you could to reflect light. We have a pair of Italian consoles, 18th century painted consoles with beautiful marble tops. On top of those, we have a pair of Murano lamps, probably date around 1860. Wonderful bubbled glass they could blow and make into a geometric form. We had them wired for US currency. I love the mixing of old and different time periods, the Murano lamps, the Italian consoles. We have a bagasse occasional table that's mid-century that we put here, which was wonderful to be able to tier different things on. Our sofas are from Dimitri. We've done a custom fabric on the Dimitri sofas, and the chairs are from Dimitri as well. Becky Vizard is just one of my dear friends, and you will see her pillows throughout our home. The pair of tapestry fragment pillows are from her. The large rug under the 2 seating areas is about 20 feet long. It's from J&D Rugs. It's a Tabriz rug. This French 18th century limestone fireplace was one of the first pieces that we got for the house. It's just massive. A lot of the 18th century limestone fireplaces were a lot shorter, so I was so excited to find the height of this one. Thinking, you know, it's 300 years old. Thinking back to what it took to quarry these stone and make this fireplace. When Laura and I were doing this project, we knew that we wanted a limestone hearth, and we knew we wanted limestone around the salon and limestone for outside pavers, but we knew it needed to match this color. With French limestones, there are a lot of different colors. Go into the yellows and browns and tans. And so we said, okay, we're going to find the quarry that this fireplace, the stone, came out of. So 300 years later, Laura and I show up at this quarry and we say, we want this section of stone right here. And they cut out this huge, like 5-ton block of stone, and we commissioned to have all the limestone cut for our house. We chose limestone down in the bottom of the quarry because it still had all the like shells and mollusks and all these little fossils in the stone, especially as they cut it. So it was always a nice surprise when we got the stone here and we'd look and we'd go, oh, look at this, look at that, look at all these surprises that came out of that. I also have another fireplace on the back side of this fireplace that I'll show you when we go to the screen porch. This is Louis XVI in style. I mean Louis XV in style. It was probably used in more of a woman's parlor in the chateau that it came from, and the one outside is Louis XVI in style. The candlesticks on the fireplace were altar candlesticks. They're all Italian, silver gilding, gold gilding, all hand carved out of wood. Just really special. I love candlesticks. Again, it's the reflecting of light at night. And I light the candlesticks at night. I love candles. The very first piece of art that we bought for the house was this piece, and it was made by John Evans. Loved it. We did the plans for the house, and we didn't have a wall that it would fit on. So I thought, well, we've got to do something. So I called and talked to John Evans myself, and I said, John, can we take 15 inches of your painting and like just gently fold it back behind and then just frame it like that? Would you be okay with that? And he was like, of course I'd be okay with that. And we had a great conversation, and he just loved that we wanted to use this piece of art in our house. So I said, well, if you're going to do that, let me commission a piece of art from you, because I feel like I need another piece of art that speaks to this piece of art. And that's the John Evans that we had in the first part of the salon when we came in. So an important element of this room is the flanking of this wall and that wall. We found the wonderful Gustavian buffet, but we still needed a piece to put on the other wall to flank it. We have the 2 John Evans paintings, which are so wonderful, but we needed something to flank it. So we ended up contacting someone in New Orleans that does things by hand, and they copied this buffet exactly here. It was about 10 times as much money as it was to buy the original. It's wonderful to know that there's still good craftsmen that can do things, but they just cost so much money to have anything made or reproduced today. But he did a wonderful idea. I think it really rooted this room, especially as you look into the kitchen with the balance that I think this room needed. In this salon dining room, you can see we've got these metal grid windows wrapped all the way around this room. There's no bad view anywhere in this house. You can see how much light we have in this room and the view we have outdoors to where we can view all the wildlife and what's going on out there. Well, I grew up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and worked as an interior designer and just didn't like working with new furniture, and that's how Fireside Antiques got founded. I just love things that are handmade. I love things that are quality materials, and I love being able to use those in my project. So that's how I founded Fireside Antiques 45 years ago. Probably my biggest mentor was Shirley Resnikoff, who was one of my teachers in design school, and she just inspired me to think outside of the box and think European and just think about the world in design. And I think her influenced me the most. I realized that with Fireside Antiques, you're either a really small business and you run the business yourself, or you're a large business and you've got a lot of employees. And I kind of knew I needed to be larger, so I kept growing and growing the business. Interesting, 5 years into running the business, I got pregnant with quadruplets. So that kind of slowed my vision for just a moment. My mother ended up coming into the shop and working at the shop, so I went to bed for 7 months with these children. I have 4 very healthy children. Laura is one of them. And then kind of raising them and growing the business all at the same time was challenging, but so rewarding. I am obsessed with antiques. I'm obsessed with the craftsmanship on what they have to offer. I love working with clients, helping them find beautiful things for their home. Laura and I have so much fun together. We buy together. She is really running and doing the shop on her own pretty much now, except for we still do buy-in trips together. We still, I come in for shipments to unload, and we talk on the phone, my husband says, about 10 times a day. I don't think it's that much, but we just have so much fun together. So I'm thankful that she's decided to keep going with the business and that I can do so much of the fun part and we can still have fun together and do all these incredible things. We are now in the kitchen, which is the heart of the home. We know that's where everybody wants to gather. When we were building the house, there were a number of feelings I had about the kitchen. Number 1, I didn't want it to look like a kitchen. Number 2, I didn't want to see a refrigerator ever. And I didn't want any upper cabinetry. And I didn't really want wood cabinetry. So we designed the kitchen to be more of kind of like a commercial kitchen, but with a lot of warmth in it. I feel like antiques add so much warmth. And so instead of cabinetry, we did this wonderful bibliothèque. And I love to collect dishes. I have some dishes here that are, they're Marie Antoinette's pattern, Louis XVI's wife. They're her pattern of dishes that she designed. They're all hand painted. I have hundreds of them because you can never have too many dishes. I tell my husband this all the time. He goes, "How many more dishes do we need?" And I went, "A lot." But I have, Laura painted the inside, had the inside of the bookcase painted the blue color of our La Canoe stove, which really brings out the color of the dishes. And I have a Gustav III. I have some wall sconces back from his period that are reverse painted glass. Just things I love. I love decanters. And I use everything in here. I just did chocolate potocremes out of our potocreme cups. I love entertaining. We have flanking pantries to the main part of the kitchen. You know, dishes all for one with all the silverware and all the things you need. So this is kind of like the dish area, silverware area. And the other area where is more cooking, where we have all the copper pots, the stove, more of that working area. We designed these pantries to be to where we could close them with these velvet curtains if we wanted to. You know, they're very theatrical, having the long velvet curtains. When I'm cooking a lot, I'll kind of keep them open, and other times I keep them closed. It's nice to have the option. We chose to do polyform Italian cabinets to do the stainless steel fronts. So I have 2 dishwashers and 1 compactor, and you don't have to see any of that. Love having 2 sinks. The La Canoe stove we use all the time. We're always cooking. I also have other ovens in the walk-in pantry I have here. But the La Canoe stove, French stove, is kind of the heart of the kitchen in the sense that that's where all the cooking happens. Laura and I, on our quest to find all these wonderful things for our home, became very aware that we needed a lot of book-matched marble, which we could not find enough pieces here. So we went to Verona, and we went to the largest marble company in the world, and we chose all of the stone for our house. We had these blue stone consoles made that serve as kitchen counters for the house. We have electrical strips underneath underneath the consoles that you can plug things in. So it really works. We have a lot of workspace here. We share meals here together some. It's a working kitchen. As you can see, we have a big pile of vegetables we just picked this morning, but we love being able to grow what we eat. I have ice makers. I have all the utilitarian things you need. I have, the coffee maker, all this tucked away to where it's not in the main kitchen. And then I can store like all our glassware and cups and saucers and things behind closed doors. Welcome to our screen porch. We spend a lot of time out here. I have table settings for 2, 4, or 6, depending on how many guests we have, or we can have 12 guests. Love to have tables that I can move around. In this room, screen porch, we have the other fireplace. Remember we talked about the Louis XV style fireplace in the salon, and we have the version in Louis XVI out here on the screen porch. We have about 500 acres with the 2 combined properties that we have. And one of my daughters has a farm on one end of the property. I have another son that is a chef. He's got a big catering kitchen on part of the property as well. We have a guest house where our friends come and stay. We have greenhouses. We try to grow all of our own vegetables for the family. Everybody comes up on the weekends and goes home with green beans and tomatoes. And we just have quite a compound here. We are just I feel so blessed to be able to be here and to share this space. I really feel like we're passing through life, and we just are trying to be good stewards of what we've been entrusted to. Mike Kaiser was our landscape architect. He's out of Nashville, just a delightful guy. We had more fun working on this project. I told him, I said, I want fountains, I want a rill, I want all these things, and he made it happen. I love looking up at the water cascading down. I love that this is more of a formal garden. The other side of our house is more a little open lawn. In fact, it's an open lawn where we can put a huge tent because we do different events out there, but this November Laura's getting married, so we'll have her big wedding and the big tent up on the other side of the lawn. We have a lot of outside seating, which I love. We had 45 people for sit down for Thanksgiving last year. We always have big crowds, and I love to be able to come outside and enjoy that as well. This is a fountain we've made out of 2 different wonderful architectural pieces. The top part was a distillery for distilling cognac. You would pour liquid into the top, and it would go through this maze, and as it went through the maze of the stone, it would cool down until it came out. So if you think of a long time ago, how do you cool things down? You don't have ice, you don't have refrigeration. How do you cool things? So you've got to use natural materials to try to figure out how to do that. So the top part was from a cognac for distilling. And then the bottom part was just a waterer that somebody, you've got to feed, you've got to have water for your animals, your horses or whatever. How are you going to have that? Well, you've got rock, so you just chisel out a big rock and it holds water. This is a sculpture done by Kevin Box, and I love his work he does. He's out of Santa Fe, but it's kind of like origami paper folded, but yet it's done in metal. And I have two of his pieces of art here in those gardens, and I just think they're fun, especially with the caladiums in front and the way they blow in the wind. Laura and I were so excited when we found this weather vane. It would have been on top of a chateau. It's beautiful. I love the flowers. I love the color. I love it's beautiful. And then it's like, okay, well, we have the weather vane. What do we do with the weather vane? And so we put it on a kind of ancient limestone column. So we're getting ready to enter away from the public part of the house into our bedroom section, our 1 bedroom. In this little hallway that connects the salon to the bedroom area, sitting room area, I have a bibliothèque that just has all my favorite things in it. It's my collection of things that I've had for the last 45 years of antique buying. I collect many things, odd things maybe sometimes, but it's my collection. I love the old wavy glass in this bibliothèque. It's all hand-rolled glass. Makes me happy every time I walk past it. Collects a lot of religious art. There's so many churches closing down now all over Europe, and it's sad, really sad, but there's a lot of things from these churches that are becoming available. And whenever I see some of these things, I just have to buy them because I feel like I'm saving them. Maybe I'm getting them into a collection for something, I don't know what, but something. But there's a lot of art that was done in monasteries and convents way back in the 1800s, really intricate, detailed work, which was part of being able to say, if you're this deep in prayer and you're this deep at peace with the Lord, you need to be able to do these fine, very difficult tasks. One of these is this piece here. It's called paper lace. And all this is cut out of paper. All these little things are cut out of paper. There's so many examples of this type work that I have. They have just, some are in fabric, some are in silk, some are painted, but just these beautiful, beautiful works of art. Also, I have a lot of relics, which the relics are really saints' bones. They have the name of who the saints are. I have a lot of those relics as well. I have Mary's crown that would have gone over her head, with the 12 stars. I have a lot of crowns. One of my earliest pieces of art is this piece of marble. It could be from the 13th or 14th century. It had probably been in a church. You can see Christ on the cross. And then you see this skull and bones here on the bottom. And it's depicting that Christ died for us on the cross. And that's showing the skull and the bones, which I find interesting. We have, if priests are going to give communion, we have where they can bring the host and where they can bring oil with them to anoint. Just all kind of things that become available out there. If you're shopping for antiques and you find something you really love, you need to at least put a hold on it while you go home and sleep on it if you need to do that, or buy it, because so often through the years I've seen people say, oh, well, I'm gonna think about it, and then they come back and it's gone and they're just devastated. Because antiques are one of a kind, there aren't a lot of others just like that around. There aren't any. Every piece is original. So you need to buy what you love. It's important to be sure the scale is right in what you're buying, that you have a place that it's going to fit. But at Fireside Antiques, we go to people's homes. We fly all over to help people place furniture. We just try to make the experience fun, because it should be fun. It is your home. It's where you live. It's where your heart is. And we are now working we're even into a little bit of third generation clients that we've been working for through the years. So in our hallway, we have a Gustavian 18th century clock, beautifully painted, milk-based paint. And one of my favorite artists, this is Louise Finney. She's a wonderful artist. When I saw this painting, I just thought, oh my gosh, that describes life to me. I told you everything needs to make me happy that I have in the house. And I looked at this woman and I thought, oh my gosh, this is life. Like most of the time we're on top of the water, we're good. But there's always little parts of us that might be sinking a little bit, and that's okay. And the flowers can still bloom. See how she's holding the flowers under the water? And the birds can still sing, and the sun can still shine. And that just kind of depicts life to me, and it just made me happy. So this is our sitting room, actually one of my favorite rooms in the house. It's where I sit a lot to work on my computer. It's my husband and I have meals here in the wintertime because we have this wonderful cozy fireplace. It's just a cozy reading room. Wonderful fountains outside. I don't know if you can hear the noise of the fountain out there, but it's just very tranquil. This is an 18th century French marble fireplace, Louis XV in style. Sitting on top of it is a trumeau mirror that is French, It's 18th century as well. And it's kind of known as like a marriage mirror because it's depicting the two doves with the lovebirds in it and signs of wheat, which mean prosperity. And so it's like a happy kind of a marriage theme. We have a wonderful French clock, marble clock, empire in style. And then we have another piece of religious art, probably done in a nunnery. The same with this piece of art over here. We have another one of Paolo Rubino's paintings here. Gustavian antique commode right here. We've taken this wonderful little desk and turned it sideways and we use it for so many different things. More art. We have an English 18th century waterfold bibliothèque bookcase. You can see down the side it looks like water coming down a hill, how it's cut. So you're entering into our bedroom of our one-bedroom house. Small bedroom, but I'd much rather have a larger sitting room like you just saw and come into a smaller bedroom. The art over our bed is by Meredith Pardue. It was one of her first pieces she did probably 25 years ago. I just love this artist. I love her feeling of movement. A Becky Vizard pillow on our bed, just wonderful fragment, a tapestry fragment. Our lamps are actually made from vases. Laura and I were in not in Murano, we were in Venice, and we found these vases and we had them made into lamps. Our curtains are Fartuni, beautiful handmade fabric. Again, I like everything to be as handmade and pure as it can be, with antiques, with the interior, with the materials that were used to build our house, just to be as authentic as we can be with everything we do. We often have coffee and tea on our screen porch in the mornings. Love the sound of water, love the sound of birds singing. We just have wonderful views all out this way. In our bathroom we have Italian mirrors. I love the waterfall effect that we have with the marble of our lavatories. All of the floors that on our one-bedroom suite and sitting room are herringbone pattern. They're French. They're 19th century flooring. We have chosen a rock crystal chandelier to go over our tub. The curtains are Fartuni as well. And that shower area, bathroom area that Laura and I sourced in Verona. We chose to put an armoire here, and that has all of our linen storage and all the storage we need in the bathroom. And it's so beautiful to see a piece of furniture instead of built-ins. I feel like a lot of clients spend a lot of time doing built-ins, and then they look back and go, "Why did I do that?" But being able to use a piece of furniture adds so much interest. It adds warmth. It adds texture, and they're very, very practical. I think what gives a house a soul comes from the person that lives there and how they've curated the furnishings they have, how they've had it made it comfortable, how there's something cooking on the stove, whether you went and bought it at the grocery store and put it in a pot, just the smells of home, the open doors to people, the drink waiting to put in your hand, the feeling that you can sit anywhere and that you're really welcome, and that the person's home that you're going to is being authentic. They're not trying to be somebody they aren't. They aren't trying to show something that just for show. They're just genuinely welcoming you and love having you in their home. This is our family entryway. That's where our family enters and friends enter the house. It's a wonderful little kind of art gallery entryway with some of our favorite pieces of art we've collected. During the 6 years we've been working on this house, I have a wonderful George Dunbar piece of art. He is a wonderful artist. He just died in the last couple of years, and he was in his later 90s. But he does a lot of silver gilding and plaster to do these wonderful designs. And again, I love things that reflect light, crystals, gilding. This is one of his pieces of art. This is another piece of art that it is hand-drawn. Someone made this as an example for a church on, this is how I think the church needs to look. It's all hand-drawn, hand watercolored, probably from the early 1800s, maybe later 1700s, but it's just exquisite with all the figures and the detail, and it's just a real treasure. Our Italian painted 18th century commode is kind of used for so many different things, but it's right here by the door. I keep my gardening gloves in there and all those things. I love the light coming in through the windows. The bagasse wall sconces on either side of this entryway make a wonderful little nook. So we're walking into our study. It's the only room in the house where we have a TV. We also have a fold-out bed here in case someone happens to spend the night. You know, we have a one-bedroom house. But this is where my husband uses it for his office. It's our TV viewing room. We have a wonderful bar here on the side, and it's just a lovely room. I love my 18th century French secretary. I love how we floated my husband's desk between the two windows to where we could still keep all that open light underneath. And I love stacked art. So next I'll take you down to a really special little room in our house not everybody knows about, but I'll give you a sneak peek if you'll just follow me. So you're in our wine vestibule, as we call it. Laura and I purchased this wall in France. It would have been a wall into like a barn type building. You can see how secure it was. It would have been two big doors that opened with a little door for a people door for just when, you know, one person's going through. We bought the wall. I said, I think it's going to fit. We cut 2 inches off the height and a ½ inch off the width, and it fit. So to talk a little bit more about this wine vestibule, we have another George Dunbar piece of art here. We have apparatus lighting in here and wonderful Italian chairs. So this is our secret entryway into the wine cellar. It's kind of chilly down here. We enjoy drinking a lot of wine. Love our wine cellar. We always keep a leg of prosciutto down here as well. Have a wonderful piece of art that might be hard to realize what it is, but Andrew Irby he painted this piece of art on probably around 1920 to depict Nectar, who was the first deliverer of wine. You see how he's holding all those wine bottles? So can you imagine for the first time, it's like, wait, we can put wine in bottles and deliver it to you. So it was a big thing in the early 1920s. Irby was also a lover with Coco Chanel, and he died at her house. My husband and I have been wine collectors for a long time. When we had to put a basement in this house to be able to have a wine cellar because we didn't really want it above ground because they really take away. But we were deciding on what color the walls were going to be and what this was going to look like. And we were on a river trip down in the Grand Canyon, and we saw the canyon walls, and I told my husband, I said, that's the color you need to paint your cellar. And so he put some sand in a bag and brought it home, and we told the painter, this is the color we want for the cellar. So they're plaster walls. It's just a wonderful way to start a project like this. The floors are that Belgian bluestone antique floors. And this section here is my champagne section because I think champagne at our house is really our water, our household water. So we always keep champagne in the refrigerator because every day is a celebration. The biggest compliment I get from guests coming to our home is that they feel comfortable here. And that's the number one thing you want when in your home. You want people to feel comfortable. You want your family to feel comfortable. You know, if somebody knocks on the door, I'm happy to see them. There's nothing formal about our house. Even though we entertain and we use a lot of wonderful antiques and crystal and china and silver and all those things, it's just who we are and it's how we live, and that's what's most important. Home means to me a place of comfort, a place that you can go at the end of the day where there's no stress and there's good food to eat, there's wine and there's champagne, especially in the refrigerator, and that you can just be at home and you can prop your feet up on the sofa if you want to, and you feel like it's just a house you can live in. It's a house that has fresh plants, it has flowers. I think you should feel safe and warm when you come into your home. You know, you shed the outside world when you walk into your door, and it should just be your happy place that should be welcoming to you every time you walk in. Homeworthy, I loved our visit today. I really appreciate you coming to visit our home. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to Homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Whitney. Welcome to my home in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Whitney Durham of Whitney Durham Interiors, and I'm an interior designer and decorator in Atlanta, Georgia. So my home is a classical Regency Revival style home. It was built in 1938, and it's been added on and renovated some in the 90s, but it is a very classic, obviously older home, which I love. I have added my little touch of color and twist to it that you will get to see. So we have lived here for about 3 years. I've got 2 boys that are ages 14 and 16 and 3 dogs. And I like to mix in wallpaper and a lot of antiques and vintage pieces that are mixed in with some newer upholstery and window treatments and some newer things. A lot of that family heirlooms that I'll highlight as we walk through, performance fabrics for the boys and the dogs, and I'll try to give some tips and tricks on that as well as we walk through, because I get asked a lot of questions about living with boys and big Labrador retrievers. All right, now we are in our foyer, which is the first place you see when you enter our home. You'll also see a nod to the black and white marble that is on the floor. Added that when we moved in. It was hardwood, but I've always loved the black and white checker floors, and I love marble. And so we added this. I thought it went along with the age of the home as well. And you'll notice lots of antique gilded wood frames with antique oil paintings, and then mixed in with larger scale abstracts, pull in a lot of color. You'll notice lots of pops of the blue and white ceramic pieces. This is an antique chest that I sourced actually at Scott's Antique Market, and I love it with this marble top. It's great when you walk into the front door. This is a Bunny Williams lamp. That's one of my favorites, and it's obviously blue and white, works with the blue and white. These are antique chairs that were updated with some Scalamandre fabric on both of those. You'll also notice as you follow me throughout that I love animal print. Animal print anything. I feel like it's a great neutral, and I use that in a lot of different places throughout our home as well. The light fixture, this was original to the home. I loved it. It's an unexpected shade of purple. This is an antique Persian rug. I feel like hides dirt. I think these are great to put by any entry point. Definitely hides dirt. All the color and pattern helps hide, but it also adds visual interest and warmth and color to a space. My design style, I would consider, is still very classic and timeless. It just has a lot of color. And I also like to pull in the antique and vintage pieces as well, but lots of artwork. I love art that you'll notice as we walk through the house. I love large-scale artwork. I love classic, timeless, antique oil paintings, but I also love really fun, and funky abstract paintings. We'll see a lot of those in antique frames. I try to mix in the old and the new that way. I also love using high gloss paint colors. You'll notice I use a lot of different color throughout my home, and I try to connect all of that through some of the fabrics in the adjacent rooms and pull together the paint colors through the fabrics and textiles so that it helps flow. Here we are in our living room. This was original to the home. It did not have any overhead light. I just added a bunch of lamps so we didn't need to run any electrical in the ceiling. But I separated the space into two different sitting areas just to maximize. It's a long rectangle, so I thought it helped kind of balance it out. And you'll notice I've got some more animal print in here, zebra hide, and this is performance velvet sofa. Cleans up very, very well. I've had these for quite some time, talking about performance fabrics with kids and dogs and just life. So those clean up very well. So this is a newer, had this coffee table custom made, and I've mixed it with, you can see, antique pieces of furniture. This was my grandmother's clock, great-grandmother's clock, wall clock. Got some custom window treatments. That is this really fun, kind of funky Schumacher floral with this really fun like zigzag pattern that really mixes it up in there. This fun little ruffle detail on the side. A lot of people are mixed on the performance rugs, but this is performance because of dogs and kids, and it cleans up very, very well. It's as close as you can get to a sisal, but it's very durable. And I added the black border to highlight the black and white marble and the zebra, to pick up the black and white. I love a touch of black in every room, adds a little bit of just sophistication to me. I had a good friend who is also a talented artist, Elaine Burge, and I had her paint. She highlighted all of the millwork, the trim with this red border. And if let's see, you could really notice it here by the fireplace where she's highlighted and followed along with that. She did a great job painting that for me. She said she would never do it again because it was a lot of work and it was outside her comfort zone, I believe. She did a great job. I also love the combination of pink and red, and so the walls in here are a very soft pink paired with the red border detail. And the high gloss, this blue, a lot of people love to know what color blue this is. It's Van Dusen Blue by Benjamin Moore, and it's in high gloss. This is an original fireplace with the black and white marble, so that also ties in with the black and white marble in the foyer. This was a antique piece, vintage piece that I found on Cherish. This very large scale horse textile, layered textile with a painted horse. I love horses. I don't ride horses, but I love horses. I think they're beautiful animals. And I just love the scale of this with all the colors. I thought it was a great scale for this wall. Then this is the other side of the living room, the other sitting area with a game table. Of course, if I actually don't play Mahjong, but I know everybody else does, but we will sometimes play Monopoly here, or the boys will play poker. Sometimes I'll sit here and do some work as well. It's just it's pretty because you can view our outdoor space. I've mixed, you'll notice, some abstract art in antique frames with some antique oil paintings. That's a vintage sunburst mirror I found at Scott's Antique Market. This is also a rattan. I love mixing in some texture, so this rattan floor lamp pairs well with the rug, the texture of the zebra hide and the performance rug. It adds some warmth and interest. This was my great-grandmother's mirror with this antique marble. I had the box made for it because that somehow got lost in time. But this is a very old gilded wood mirror that I love, and it was in the family, and I thought it was great in here. It dresses it up, also makes the room feel a little bit larger, and reflects all the objects and everything in here. I love coffee table books. I love books. You'll notice I have, when we get to the other rooms, using books on coffee tables or even a side table. It adds a pop of color, interest. You can pick any. I always tell my clients to buy books. I really do think Amazon is probably your best source for price point. Anything that interests you. Mine are obviously home decor books. I use them for inspiration and educate myself on all sorts of things from them. But I think that they're great, and art books as well. I've got a bunch of art books. So even if you're not into home decor books, you can get anything that interests you if it's travel and buy those, and they're great space fillers, add interest, and also good conversation starters if you're hosting something and you need something to spark some conversation. Now we are in our bar hallway, which we use all the time back to entertaining friends and family. This was a very wide hall, and when we moved in, the bar area was really just a built-in little reading nook, bench seat. I did not think that that would not be the best use of space for our family, really. I feel like it'd probably be either where the kids game or the dogs sleep. So I thought, let's use this as an entertaining space. And so we added this bar. So custom designed all of this. This is actually upholstered walls. This is a Schumacher fabric that I had at our previous home. They were drapes, and I just repurposed them as the walls in here. So this is actually fabric. Some think it's wallpaper, but it's not. Have these shelves made to hold the barware. It's mostly all vintage barware. I love vintage, mixing in, especially vintage barware. These are abstracts framed in antique gilded wood frames that I love to mix. So newer paintings paired with the old frames. This is actually a pink onyx as a countertop, which I thought was kind of a fun and unexpected material to use. And it pulls in the pink and the pink walls in the adjacent living room, and it also has touches of black and white, which also connects back to the foyer floor and the original fireplace with the black and white marble. Yes, we use this a lot for entertaining. This is really one of the main hallways in our home, so with it being wide, it's also very nice to be able to gather. Sometimes entertaining people will stand in the hall and chit-chat. These were here. I just changed the hardware and painted this gold color. This was all here when we moved in. I believe it was all added during a renovation in the 90s by Norman Askins, architect, but I thought they were great. I loved the design, and I mirrored the design back over to the cabinets we added at the bar. So you'll notice this design here, that shape was also, I pulled it back in over here. So just to try to tie it together. I also wallpapered the ceiling in a metallic, it's a Schumacher wallpaper. I thought that added a little bit of glam, a little unexpected touch. Don't forget to paint your ceilings or add wallpaper to your ceilings. Don't forget about the ceiling. It's still a wall, so to speak. So you want to include that into your design scheme. This was an original antique chandelier that was in the home when we moved in. It was in another room, but I just relocated it to this hallway. I thought it was great. It fit the space really well. These sconces were also here. I updated the shades. These were here when we moved in. They're brass. I liked the detail on them. And these are another pair of antique chairs. I love accent chairs. These are hall chairs that I recovered in a new fabric. Just pulls in all the colors in a subtle way. This is another Turkish rug that pulls in all the colors. It also hides dirt, but it's got the browns, it's got the cream, the pinks, the blues that all tie in the adjacent rooms. So even when using a lot of color and bold color choices, tying in the color on the rugs and the fabrics between the rooms helps for flow. So I tried to tie that in with the fabrics and the rugs and things. So yeah, we use this a lot when we entertained. So we're very happy we added this update. And here we are in our dining room, which is right off of the bar hallway where we just were, and the foyer. So this is obviously entertaining. We eat here a lot. Sometimes we'll eat here if we can actually get together for a family meal during the week. But this was a original antique chandelier that was here in the home when we bought it, and I loved it. I actually do light those candles when we entertain. It's actually one of my favorite fixtures in our home. So this is an antique table that I sourced from an local antique shop. These chairs, I loved the whitewash look paired with the dark table. So these were also sourced from a vendor at Scott's. And I just kept them very neutral and simple because I obviously have a lot going on in our dining room. So I thought it was a good place to rest your eye on those chairs. I loved, this is another Schumacher wallpaper. It's actually tortoise shell, and it's by Celery Kimball, I believe, for Schumacher, but I just loved it. It adds a little bit of drama. It's cozy, it's classic, all into one. I layered it with abstract art. I love large scale. I know I've mentioned that before, but I love large scale abstract. This was a Sally King. I love this piece as well. So I feel like it pulls in some of the white with the trim and some of the browns, the blues and pinks that I use throughout. The rug in here is an Oriental rug. It's vintage and it pulls in all the colors. It's got pretty much every color in the rainbow. It's also very forgiving, like I've mentioned before, like the foyer rug. But these rugs hide stains and spills. The pattern and the color in them are great. I love using these, and I thought it was a great size for this space. You'll notice we've got antique oil paintings here. I do not know this guy personally. He was not in my family, but I just thought it was kind of a fun, quirky, but classic piece to put in the dining room. Did these custom window treatments. I thought they were very soft and elegant paired with the wallpaper. They pull in the pinks and the turquoise color of the foyer, this kind of peacock color. This guy was a family heirloom, and these are all just antique pieces that I found along the way that I loved. This is an onyx pedestal with the gilt. I love the gilded detail on it. This over here is an antique ice chest that was in my family. It's my great grandmother's. So mixing that with the modern art there again. So you've got some traditional art in here mixed with the modern, keeps it not stale, it keeps it fun and unexpected, paired, here again with some more of the blue and white. This is a butler's desk that I thought this would be a good spot for it. Sometimes when entertaining, I will open this and we can put food up on top here. It's a little different than using a buffet that most people would have in their dining room. It also stores my linens, my entertaining like tablecloth and napkins and things. Also found this antique floral still life, and I loved all of the colors in that, or basically all the colors that were in this rug. Thought it tied the room together. I think a mirror in most every room is important. It helps the room feel larger. This one was actually purchased for a show house I did with Atlanta Homes and Lifestyles, the holiday show house, and it ended up here. So it came home with me. So my go-to design tip would be to live and buy what you love, live with what you love. If you see something when you're out shopping, whether it's at an antique or vintage piece or a family heirloom that you love, that you've inherited, you will find a place for that in your home. And you'll notice that as we walk through our house, we've got a lot of the family heirlooms and antiques that I found along the way that I loved at different, shops and flea markets and antique sales that I have pulled in and made new again in our home. And so I would encourage anybody, to pull those in. It adds character and kind of a curated feel to your home, and everything isn't just purchased brand new all at once. It really gives more of a story, just a very unique feel to your home that no one else would have anything just like it. And here we are in the powder room. This was here, I believe this was added on in the 90s by the previous owner through Norman Askins. And I loved the shape of this vanity. I did change the marble. I believe it had black granite. So I updated this with a marble that pulls in some purple and cream and some pinks. And obviously painted more high gloss. I did the purple. and I pulled in the metallic wallpaper on the ceiling, which is the same that's in the adjacent bar hallway. So I tied that into this bathroom as well. Added the sconces, and then this is an antique light fixture, like a sunburst light fixture that we put in. You'll notice we've got more, abstract modern art framed in lucite frames. And this was original, this floor. I loved it. I thought it was great. It kind of goes back to the black and white, so I left that. Added some fabric that pulls in the blue that's in the family room and the purple. It's actually a floral fabric. You probably can't see it too well, but it has the creams and then the purple and the blue. So I thought that kind of helped tie everything together. New sink and faucet that's brass to match the fixtures. Beautiful flower arrangement by Mary Delia Design. She does a great job with her flowers. So she's done a lot of all of the flowers throughout the home, if you notice that through the tour. And here we are. This is the hallway that's right off of the bar hall, if you're following for flow, the powder room, and then this goes into our family room. These are some more I love antique oils. This was my grandmother's, and this one I found probably along the way at antique shop. But if I see it, I love it and find a place for it in my home. So this is also a little French piece with this marble top, which I thought this was a great spot for. Add some interest in the hallway, but it doesn't take up too much space. And some more flowers by Mary Delia Designs. So then you enter into our family room. This room and the kitchen, I believe, were added on by Norman Askins in the 90s. I've updated it so that it's current, but they did a great job with all the paneling in here. I painted it. This is Van Dusen blue. I get asked about what this paint color is all the time by Benjamin Moore. So obviously this is traditional space, but I pulled in this modern light fixture just to mix it up so it's not all super traditional. We changed out the fireplace surround. This is a soapstone. It was a black granite, and which was probably popular in the 90s, so we updated it to this, the soapstone, which still goes along with the age of the house, but it pulls in with the blue. It doesn't distract you from everything else going on in the room. It flows well with it. This is my favorite room in the home. Really, it's off the kitchen, and then it also flows right out to the outside. So when we're entertaining, this is a great space. We've got more swivel chairs that we use, for entertaining are great. If we've got the French doors open, for conversation, swivel chairs are, I think, great. These are all in performance fabric, and they're all custom designed. This is actually the Whitney sofa through the Ellenberg Chair Company. It is named after me, so I was like, I need to have it in my home. But it's upholstered in a Schumacher fabric, and with dogs, I'm asked this a lot about having big dogs, lots of them, with boys as well. Performance fabrics, flip the cushions a lot. Usually I'll have a blanket if the dogs get up here, which they do. We'll lay a blanket out, and they actually know not to get on the sofa until the blanket is laid out. The puppy hasn't learned that yet, but the older two do. In here I've mixed vintage. This is a vintage lucite, mid-century, paired with more traditional pieces like this bamboo side table. These are some of my favorite. I found this pair at an estate sale, and I loved the size and scale, the masculinity that they pull in, paired with, if you want to check out, I love the frames also. Then paired with this really fun abstract Sally piece that pulls in all the colors, and it's just a fun juxtaposition paired with the antique oils. Another Oriental rug to help hide dirt. One other little tip, so with fabrics, if you do have dogs and pets, pick a performance, but sometimes you might want to pick a performance fabric that is also the same color or similar shade of your dog's dog hair. If you have a shedder, which I do, mine are yellow labs, so they don't really show up on this furniture. They're really hidden. All these are built-ins, so you'll notice here I've got the antique. This was a French antique oil painting of this dog. more coffee table books that I love. Most of them are home decor books that I love to use as resources and inspiration. Added the lights, the art lights when we moved in, the paint, and then this grass cloth for some texture and warmth. The grass cloth really pulls in the warm gold tones of the bar hallway, along with the Scalamandre throw pillows. Really pulls in when you're looking down the hall here into the bar with more animal print, which I love. The right side of the bookshelves, I believe the previous owner had her TV there. That was probably when you didn't really put TVs over your fireplace. So we mirrored the bookshelves on the left side to the right side and then took out the part where she had her TV. I think it was one that would like roll out. So we updated that, and the hardware we've updated. And this doorway was just a standard door. So when it flows into our kitchen, I thought to not have it feel so tight and also not taking out a wall, we opened up this doorway so that you have more space and it's not so tight when you walk into the kitchen. Also more standing room when entertaining and so forth. We debated possibly taking out more of this wall, but I don't personally love the open floor concept, and I think that is going away a little bit now. But with this being an older home and my love for artwork, I would rather have the wall there and have artwork on it than have this just all one open space. And here we are in our kitchen. You'll notice this is the same peacock kind of green teal that is in the foyer. So I pulled it from the front of the house to the back of the house. And I loved this tile choice is the black and white. It was a good price point. And we added this. It also went along with the age of the home. Anyhow, I thought this was great. The island, when we moved in, you could not sit at the island. It stopped here. So, and it also had cabinets that ran all along this wall. But with modern day living and kids and things, everybody sits at often eat breakfast and snacks and stuff at the island top. So we took out some of those shelves, added a coffee bar, customized that, and added the marble. I left the footprint. I loved the beadboard detail. I think that went along with the age of the home. And so we added the marble to the kitchen. You'll notice it is on the backsplash for the clean look of having it on the countertops and on the perimeter. Went a little bit thicker on the island. These are a newly purchased, these are counter stools from Society Social, and they are great. I love the texture. You can customize the cushions, the scale, they're very comfortable. And they pull in some brown and some earthy wood tones, so to speak, that add some warmth into the kitchen. So this kitchen, this was a similar footprint when we moved in, but I left the cabinets, but we changed the cabinet fronts and updated the hardware, added a panel front dishwasher, updated the sink and the faucet, added the cafe curtain. And instead of can lights, I'm not a big fan of can lights, so we added all of these flush mounts that are visual comfort, and I love them. They give off as much light as canned, and they look better in my opinion. Here we are, we've got a Turkish runner that also helps hide stains. It pulls in the paint color of the cabinets and a little bit of pink and brown. We added these wall sconces, and you'll notice we've got more antique oils and still lifes. So then as you enter here, when we moved in, the stove was here, and there was a really high wall that you kind of looked through the window, like a knee wall, I guess, and looked into the breakfast area. But I felt that it needed to be more open. And then we also had the plan of going outside to the pool cabana. So we took that out and shifted the stove here. And this is one of my favorite pieces. I don't love to cook, I'll be honest. I love the way that this looks, so. This is the breakfast area and our little coffee station here. The cabinets open and close in. We added all these are updated lights. This is actually a light fixture that I designed for the Southeastern Show House in a children's room, and I love the fabric on it and the colors, obviously. So I thought this was a perfect spot. I went a little more neutral, like tone on tone with the drapes, and that way it really let the light fixture be the showstopper. This is a new table paired with vintage chairs that I found at a flea market and I had painted in high gloss. This is a Bunny Williams table. I thought round was a great shape here because you've got the French doors that go out. This goes out to the original, the wraparound porch, and then these French doors we added to mirror this that opens up to the walkway, the breezeway to the pool cabana. We eat here a lot when we entertain over holidays. This is where the kids' table is. I usually do a kids' tablescape for Christmas, Thanksgiving. This is a antique bench that I also used in the show house that landed back here in a fun like tiger print. And I love this iron bench, and it's unexpected. I feel like instead of doing a built-in like banquette or something, you still have the bench that my boys love to sit on, but it's not built in. So you can still see all the windows. These are casement windows that you can open up and view the yard. We've got old windows, so you can see it's raining here, but I love the old windows. So we haven't updated those yet. This is our multi-purpose hallway. It's like a mudroom hallway, my office hallway. We also have our laundry room in this hall that's hidden, but this is our kind of friends and family side entrance here. So this is the side of our house. You'll notice we've got the black and white awning, which ties in with our black and white kind of touches throughout the home. So this is also high gloss black that mirrors the front door, so that ties in. So this space is a multi-use space. This is obviously wallpaper, Schumacher wallpaper that I love. It's a very classic and timeless, but it also pulls in an array of colors, the black and the blue, which I also use a lot throughout the home, which is an interesting pair, but it's also here, it's in here as well. Different shades of blue with the black on the birds. And these are antique chinoiserie chairs with a modern upholstery that I added to the seats with an antique chest with another marble top, textured lamps. I loved the pop of the red with this classic, with a twist kind of tape here. It's not Greek key, but similar. So this kind of pulls in the pinky red that I love. Got some more antique artwork here. This is layered. It's more 20th century, but has some good age to it. And it also mirrors the birds that are on the wallpaper. Another animal print with another seagrass rug with the black border, which also ties in with the animal print and the black on the birds and the chairs, the chinoiserie chairs, and the door. This is actually our laundry. I won't show it to you because it's scary. Anyhow, we do our laundry here. My office is here. So this is a multi-use space, mudroom. But this is great. We use this area of our home all the time, and it's original to the house. So then this is the library. I'm not sure the previous homeowners, maybe they used this to store their china, but I actually have more books than I do china, although I am starting to collect china. But, so this is filled with, all the antique books, and I've layered, I still need more books, but I collect books, obviously. So I've got antique oils mixed in here with the modern art, a really fun runner with, let's see, this is more neutral. It's kind of a putty paint color in here, and this is just brown and black, neutral with a really fun, simple tape here. More modern art in antique frames. This was my great-grandmother's chair that upholstered in zebra hide. More modern art, just art that I've collected over time. A little cozy corner to sit in here and read. We added the art lights and the flush mounts, the star lights, when we moved in to this space. It was a little dark before, and it's tucked away in a corner of our home, and it's just a fun little unique space off the beaten path, I guess, in our house. And here we are in the entry of our primary bedroom. I believe this was added on in the 90s with the back portion of the house with Norman Askins, but I've updated it with my personal touch. This was original and I liked it. I thought it also was a nod to the age of the home. So I left the light fixture and did some more high gloss in a little lighter teal that really paired well with the grass cloth. This is a teal Duncan grass cloth, and so we enveloped the whole bedroom in this. So this is an antique piece, antique chest with a marble top, some modern lamps with some new shades, vintage, I think these are vintage silk shades. This is a Bunny Williams mirror that I thought was fun and playful, pulled in the blue, more coffee table books, Turkish rug. And then as we walk in, this leads you into the bedroom itself. I custom designed our iron bed and added these panels just for some extra interest and layer warmth onto the bed, and tied that same fabric onto the headboard. Another, you'll notice in all of the bedrooms, I don't really do white bedding. I know it's very pretty, but there again with dogs and boys, I just don't see it as being that practical. So you'll notice we have more off-white or taupe coverlet. Our bedding is Peacock Alley. I love Peacock Alley for bedding. These are custom Euros in a really fun fabric. This is Schumacher. I believe this particular fabric was made after Queen Elizabeth, one of her dresses, I believe, is the story behind it. I just loved the whimsy of it, all the colors, and I tried to pull all of these colors into the bedroom. You'll notice we've got some painted lamp shades. These are Christopher Spitzmiller lamp, antique chest on either side of the bed. This is a vintage sofa that was in our family that I reupholstered in a performance velvet. Layered again, we've got a performance rug with another Turkish layered rug on top. This rug I liked because it didn't pull in as many colors. It is a little more neutral, I guess, even though it's got the pop of the turquoise. This, I love the fireplace detail. This millwork was done by the previous owner, but I really, really like it. It's very charming, and this is slate. This was all here when we moved in, and I liked it and left it. Added the sconce and updated the ceiling fixture. These are portraits painted by Elaine Burge of our boys. These are some fun floral. All the floral is back in now. It's timeless, it's feminine for the bedroom, and it also kind of speaks to the outdoors as well when you look out the windows. It's also tied in the custom bed skirt with bed panels. Have a little reading nook over here. Added more traditional art paired with, these are Renee Bouchon, some of her relic series. I bought these some time ago, had them custom framed, and even though they're small in a big grouping, really has an impact. This is another Bunny Williams lamp paired with a French antique table, marble top. So in this room, we've got some seating areas. I do love our bedroom. It has a lot going on, but at the same time, I like that, and it doesn't feel overwhelming to me. It's still restful, even though there's a lot going on. You can rest your eye with the solid coverlet and rest your eye with the solid sofa in front of the bed. Still be able to take in everything else that's going on in here. So, and next I'll take you to my boys' bedrooms. And this is my younger son's bedroom. He is 14, so he's also my collector. You'll see I do let him, he loves shoes, he got into that, he plays baseball, so I allow him to decorate the shelves himself. This is an antique shelf that I found local antique shop. The twin beds I think are great for when they have friends over to spend the night. They each have their own bed. These were actually in the Southeastern Show House, and I loved them so much that I put them in his room. He thought they were cool with the canopy, the bed canopies over them, antique chest with a black marble top that picks up the black fabric, more peacock alley bedding. His favorite color is green. I painted the window trim for a little unexpected pop, orange. He's definitely this is a kind of a tie-dye orange lampshade. So he loves color and he loves things a little outside of the box. So this was a great setup for him. He also is into music. He's a drummer. We framed records in these lucite frames. Another antique chest with this green marble that really picked up the shade of green. We also have, this is a wood grain wallpaper that's masculine. It's a good neutral, adds a little bit of interest and texture, so to speak, to the walls. So if you want to follow me to my older son's bedroom next. And now we're in my older son's bedroom. He is definitely firstborn. He's my more traditional and likes just the classic kind of red, white, and blue. But I didn't want it to be over the top red, white, and blue. So we've paired it with kind of a fun, modern wallpaper that is a nice complement to the more traditional details in his room. With this antique, this was a family heirloom bench. That was in my grandmother's home. He also has a pair of twin beds, obviously, for when they have friends over, paired with all of the antique oils, with the dogs and the pheasants, antique side table. His bedding is also Peacock Alley. I love a good monogrammed euro. They each have their own monogrammed euro on their beds in their bedrooms. He often does his homework here in this chair. This is a favorite fabric. I love this Greek key, which has the taupes and then red and blue in it. It was masculine and also fun and playful to me at the same time. He has another performance rug layered with family heirloom. You can tell it's really old, but I like that. Antique chest with this brown marble that came with it. I liked the brown. Abstract art, custom lamp shade. This is a little red geometric print. So that's these are his floor lamps that are good reading lamps on either side. These are through Visual Comfort, Ralph Lauren floor lamp. I like the polished nickel finish. That's it. That's his bedroom in a nutshell. Now we are outside. This is, as I believe mentioned earlier, we entertain a lot and family and friends, and so this part is an extension of the indoor out here. I've got a tablescape that we entertain seasonally here. We also have this fun wraparound porch that was here when we moved in, and then we, as you see when we get over to the pool cabana, we mirrored the pool cabana to look like as if it had been here as long as the wraparound porch had. So you'll see some ties between the two that our architect drew up to make it look like the goal was that the pool cabana had been here just as long as this wraparound porch. But we love entertaining, we love sitting. We've got when it rains, we've got a roof where you can hear, tin roof where you can hear, copper actually, you can hear the rain. Since it rains every day now in Georgia, it's nice to sit out there and look at the pool. These chairs are great. They are from Front Gate. The cushions as well, you can customize. You can customize the fabric, the contrast welt. I also have ordered a pair of blue and white ticking stripe cushions to interchange as well. So you could go neutral and add some fun pillows if you wanted, or you can do the blue and white pinstripe cushions or any other. They've got a bunch of options that you can customize through Front Gate. And so this is just a little summertime tablescape I've mixed vintage barware of these glasses that were my grandmother's, paired with some new glasses, and These are some Christopher Spitzmiller pottery plates. These are his lime, and I love those. I love chartreuse, so I think it's a very fun, it's also a very popular color right now as well. And the umbrella is also front gate. You can customize those by size and fabric design, so those are great, and we have another one of those actually in the pool as well. Let's head to see the pool and the pool cabana. If you want to follow me this way. When we moved in, this was a garden, which I thought was very super cute and quaint. However, I don't really garden. I don't have a green thumb, so we thought adding a pool with labs and boys would be a better way to use the space than a garden. So, and then we also added in turf where, you know, kids can play as well. And we also have a big turf horseshoe up there with a little golf putting green. And this is our pool cabana, and it connects. We set it up to where it directly connects into the kitchen. So for flow, you can access the original porch through the kitchen and come out the other set of French doors and access this area as well. So it's great for entertaining, obviously, football games, sporting events with the TV. We've got cozy fireplace. That's Georgian marble from Georgia, obviously. So I thought that went along with the age of the home and the fact that we obviously live in Georgia. So we custom designed this for this space. And then we picked up the architectural details that were, you know, on other key points of the home as far as the design goes. Kind of just kept it open air and breezy, which we can use pretty much year round. Maybe not in the winter months, but for the most part, we can entertain out here and use this as an extension of the home. And it views the pool, and then you can see up in the turf area beyond that as well. I've got swivel chairs that I feel like are great. You can swivel and look at anybody in the pool, or you can swivel around and look at the TV. I've mixed, these are new, these are summer classics mixed with this vintage web spun coffee table, because I love to mix new and old. I do have another sofa. We did realize that we needed a little more seating area, so we've actually ordered another sofa that has not arrived yet, so we'll probably shift the other sofa here and then put the swivel chairs facing the fireplace, so you could swivel around, look at the pool, swivel around, look at the TV, and it gives more seating to accommodate more people. And this is an antique. The wood on it handles the outdoor elements. I don't know the exact type of wood. I can't remember what the antique dealer told me. But anyhow, he said it would be great out here, and it has a marble top. I think it's 19th century piece. And we use this as a bar when we entertain out here. It has storage of barware all in here. And yeah, and it's right off the kitchen, so we decided we didn't want to add any sort of outdoor kitchen area, because it's literally right off the kitchen in our home. So we just felt like we'd keep it pretty simple as well. I've got some blue and white ginger jars that I've pulled throughout my home, and I also popped some out here as well, just for some interest. I love blue and white. And I loved the scale of these here. They're 29 inches tall, and they really help anchor the fireplace. I put a pair on these vintage fiberglass pedestals, just to add a little interest other than another plant. So also have these are from Paris. These are really huge, oversized lanterns that you can pop a candle in below, and gives a nice ambiance when entertaining. So those are fun. I have another one on the wraparound porch as well. So we've got two of those out here, and I love the topiaries, so that's great. And then below, I know we're not looking at it, but we also have ping pong table, and where our boys play basketball. There's a basketball goal area where they can play ping pong, and that also flows into the basement, which is really a kid hangout. So, and it's just a great space for family and friends to gather outdoors and an extension of our home. Home means to me is just a place where you can completely be yourself. You love to be in your own home. I love to be in my home. I can be more of a homebody. I prefer to spend time in my own home, and it's just wherever you feel the most comfortable and you can be yourself and you're surrounded by all the things that you love as far as people, family, and objects, things you've curated over time. Just a special place where you can be yourself and you enjoy your surroundings, and you can host family and friends and just really be yourself in your own home.
Thanks for watching. Go to Homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Mark. Welcome to my home in Birmingham, Alabama. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey there, I'm Mark Kennamer. I'm an interior designer based in Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to our home. Our house is located in Forest Park. It's a historical neighborhood in Birmingham, and the house was built in 1924 and has so much character that drew me to it. I've always been in love with the movie Father of the Bride, and our house is very Father of the Bride-esque. From the outside in. It's a very traditional white painted Dutch Colonial, and we love it here. The house itself went through a couple of renovations before I purchased it, and everything was painted white. The kitchen had a renovation that was a little more modern than belonged in the house, and then the bathrooms were all original, which were beautiful, but there were lots of cracked tiles and broken faucets and things like that that needed to be addressed. So we kind of did little by little a complete renovation, put the kitchen back intact to kind of what it would have been hopefully when the house was built, of course with some modern updates as far as the appliances and things like that go. And in the bathrooms we did the same. So we kind of carefully put it back together. But with all that being said, it was just a very blank white canvas when I bought it. And so I was able to kind of wave my freak flag a little bit and do things here and there that, in keeping with the traditional style of the house, but it was, at a point where I could really have some fun with it, and it's evolved so much over the past 8 years that we've lived here. The house is very traditional, very classic, which is truly what I aim to be. I love classic architecture. I love beautiful fabrics, beautiful wallpaper, lots of plaids. There are some modern chairs. There's a couple of pieces of some modern art throughout the house, so there's a little bit of an eclectic style that you'll see, but for the most part the house really does read so traditional, which I love. I mean, we are in the South and our homes are havens, and there's just a Southern feel about it that I think you'll really like. So we're now in our dining room. The dining room changed very recently. When I bought the house, we initially had a grass cloth wallpaper, and the trim was painted a different color, and then Schumacher came out with this beautiful, beautiful mural, and I had to have it. Like I said earlier, my favorite colors are blue and green, and this is like having dinner in a forest. So we changed the trim color, we changed the draperies. The rug was actually a wedding gift, so it's still here, which I love. It works with everything. This room has a lot of my favorite things in it. It houses our beautiful china that is heron, Chinese bouquet in turquoise, and we actually use it. We also have our crystal glasses, our silver goblets that were also a wedding gift. And it's actually displayed in a little bookcase that I found that is just the perfect size for here in between the windows. And I love the color, and the glass is just beautiful. Back to the wallpaper, we had full draperies in the room before when it was all grass cloth. And so when we put this wallpaper up on these two windows, I decided to do these dog-eared Roman shades. They're in a beautiful moire fabric, kind of a celadon color with Samuel & Sons onion trim. Makes me happy. And then we did full drapery panels on the larger window in the same moire with the trim. And I think it just turned out beautiful. My cats love to play with the fringe as well. It's one of their favorite things. They haven't messed it up yet. And then we have probably my prized possession is this beautiful neoclassical demi-lune sideboard from the 1800s. It's just wonderful. And I got it from an antique dealer in Charleston. And then these lamps, when we got married, we had this beautiful bar constructed. And at each corner of the bar, it was four-sided, and at each corner of the bar, we had these lamps. So they're very special. They were at our wedding, and the two other lamps are in a client's home. She loved them as well, so we parted with those two, but very special to us. I love William Yoward crystal, so you'll see a lot of that throughout the house. We have these beautiful Tatiana hurricanes and a collection of fruit. We leave this up through Mardi Gras. It's just kind of a fun addition to the chandelier. It's just a glass garland by John Toole, and I love it. It makes me happy, and I'm getting very upset to have to take it down, but it's kind of just adds a little bit of whimsy to the chandelier, and I just love it. The chairs, they are a find I found at Scott's Antique Market, and I love them. They have the prettiest backs, very ornately carved, and they're actually very comfortable. And we have this really beautiful quadrille fabric that I just love on the seats. We entertain a good bit. Like I said, my husband loves to cook, so he's always excited to prepare a meal for our friends. And the table right now, it's round, and then we have a couple of leaves so we can pull it out and seat 12 people in here. It's a little crowded, but it's so much fun. And we had our company Christmas party here this past December, and I had so many things on the table. I was concerned that the table was actually going to fall in. It was very decorated, and it was just beautiful. So yeah, we spend a lot of time in this room. We actually, sometimes John Paul and I will just come in here and eat dinner by ourselves because we love being in here so much. It's just so pretty, and sometimes I'll catch myself just staring at the wallpaper. Okay, we're in our foyer. The foyer is one of my favorite rooms in the house. We have this beautiful Encaira wallpaper that I found in New York. John Paul and I were on a trip up there, and we stopped by John Roselli and Associates and found this wallpaper. We've been looking for a paper for our foyer for a while, and saw this there and just knew that it was exactly what we wanted. It's called Plume Stripe, and blue and green are my favorite colors, so it's just perfect. And it goes all the way up to the second floor, and I love the stripe, the way it just accentuates the height. And I also found this beautiful Italian chest actually at Scott's Antique Market, and it's so pretty to me. I love the kind of the burl look and the bleach, and then I found that beautiful Japanese, it's actually a remnant of a panel that is framed, and then this beautiful Japanese planter also that I found at the Nashville Antique Show, and then a beautiful Christopher Miller lamp that is just the perfect color in here. It's all grounded by this beautiful Ushak rug that has pretty much every color in the whole house, and it's just beautiful. And then we have this little petite chair that I found at Round Top. We recovered it in this pewtery color silk, and then it has a beautiful Beviz pillow that I kind of collect those. There's a few throughout the house, and I always love for my clients to have one of those because they're just a piece of art. One of my favorite things in this room is an original to the house, the light fixture. A lot of the light fixtures in the house were gone when I moved in. There were only 2 fixtures left, and fortunately that was one of them. I think throughout several renovations before me, some of the light fixtures got taken out and replaced, and so I'm fortunate that that one was not removed. It's beautiful. I, from an early age was rearranging rooms in my family's house, and I would go to friends' house and move their, family's furniture around, and always telling people what they were doing wrong that we could improve on, whether they asked for my opinion or not, which they usually didn't. And then I went to design school and learned all of the, important things that, you don't really see. ADA, compliances and plumbing and CAD and things that are important to our industry. But deep down, I just have a kind of a flair for putting fabrics together and, making the aesthetic as beautiful as possible. So I worked after school, during school, I worked at a local store in town called Table Matters and met my first client there. And I kind of started doing some things for her a little bit. And then after I graduated, I moved to Atlanta and worked for a wedding planner and kind of gave that industry a go and decided that wasn't the direction I wanted to be in. It sounded fun at the time and I did enjoy it, but I decided after a year over there I would move back to Atlanta, and that one client had started a renovation that needed my help with, and so I started helping her, and my career kind of evolved from there, so it just kind of all happened organically, really. Coming in from the other side of the foyer, we come into our living room. I love this room. It has lots of seating. We'll start over here. This little settee, I just love. It's in a Ralph Lauren wool plaid, and plaid is one of my favorite fabrics to use. And then we have this beautiful Jim Thompson velvet pillow and this mohair blanket I got from our Schumacher store here in town that it's just really beautiful, and then the draperies are also Schumacher. This little floor lamp is so pretty. It's visual comfort, but Ralph Lauren design, and it puts out the prettiest glow at night. I collect glass pieces. This one's so pretty, and then these are actually Frank Fleming as well, these little eggs that are really special. Kind of in the middle of the room, we're, in the South, we do love our TVs for football. We're big football watchers around here. So the room is centered around the fireplace, and the TV's across from the fireplace, kind of hidden. So it's out of the way. Everything in this room is anchored by this beautiful painting from the Hen House Antiques. And it's old. I'm not really sure how old it is, but it has a lot of age to it. And the colors are so pretty. And it, again, has a water scene that I just love. And then these beautiful lapis hurricanes are so pretty. The mantle, the fireplace itself is it has a very strong presence. So these are great scale for the mantle. It's very deep and can kind of handle them. And then my husband collects, he calls them stash boxes. These antique boxes are all gifts that I've given him, and so they look really pretty up on the mantle. And then we have this little cat, bronze cat figurine that one of my friends gave me for a Christmas present that I just love. All 3 of our cats are kind of obsessed with the fireplace, so most nights they're all right here. So it's kind of fitting that lives there. This rug I got from my friends at 18th Street Orientals, and it's just a beautiful old Ushak. It has lots of color in it, very subtle, but a little bit of this kind of red dye color that I just love. The room is anchored by this huge, we had it custom made from Lee Industries, cowhide ottoman that is kind of just the perfect size for in here. Everybody can throw their feet up, so it adds a layer of comfort, but also it's a beautiful place for us to display, some coffee table books. I love this Chinese vase that, you can put all kinds of flowers in it. These are larkspur that I would just love right now. And so the room is very comfortable, but it also has a formality to it that I just love. Over here, I found this piece of furniture at a newer store called Shop Shell Studios that I think is just perfect for this space. We have these beautiful club chairs that are very comfortable. They're in a cravat, performance velvet. And then we have this beautiful Brunswick tapestry fabric with this Samuel & Sons onion fringe again on it. I love Chinese porcelain, and so this little ginger jar here that I keep flowers in is Amari. And then we have this beautiful sofa that's upholstered in a cast-off fabric that's also very durable, and Traverse pillows and Schumacher pillows and lots of different, and these change all the time. I move pillows around. But then we have these Oli chairs over here that we'll kind of pull in when we're having a lot of people in, that have this beautiful rose tarlo fabric on the pillows, and then this beautiful Empire chest that I just love, and it has great storage. We actually keep our stockings in it and other Christmas things that make it really easy to access. And then more coffee table books, and then this beautiful Aptware ashtray that I just love. So these openings go into the entertainment room, and on either side of these openings, I found these beautiful Swedish demi-lunes. It was important to me, these arches, these little niches, have a little ledge. So I found these, and I had to cut them down about an inch so that they sit under the edge of the niche. And so they're just beautiful. We have these little stools here that we'll pull out in front of the fireplace, and there are 2 extra seatings when we need it. And then just, photos of my husband and I from our wedding. That was from our engagement party, which was so fun. And then I have these beautiful Italian plaster mirrors that are in each niche that I just love, and they're convex, so they kind of have this fun reflection. On the other side, the other demi-lune, I've started collecting, this is a new obsession, match strikes. So this table hopefully will be full of them at some point, but I just started collecting them, and they're just so fun. They have the little ribbed crystal, and then this one, this one is new, but you can see all the little details. And then this piece is from Tommy Mitchell. Tommy Mitchell designs beautiful toll flowers, and I just love it. And you don't have to water it. That's the best part. It always looks good. And then we have the other Italian mirror. My grandmother, we called her Mimi. She and I were very close, and she always, her house was very small, but always so pretty. She had wallpaper in every room, and she loved to decorate. And so I just kind of would hang out with her a lot, and we would go and, shop on Saturdays and buy furniture and, decorate for Christmas. And so I always kind of loved that, mainly the time with her, but also it was enjoyable for me. And so she was a big influence, I would say, on my love for what I do. Kind of the first time that we meet with a new client or even an old client, we ask them, how does your house live? How does your family like to live? And then I always say, what do you love? I always like to know, is there a type of or a style of furniture that you like? Or is there, a specific color that you like? And most clients will give you 1 or 2 answers, and then, turn around and say, well, what would you do? And so that's where, we take it off and run. But I do like to have a little bit of influence from them personally, and then we kind of, put our spin on it. So now we're in the entertainment room. This room initially was a porch. These were exterior doors that came from the living room out to this porch. I don't know if it was screened or if it was just an open porch, but at some point, someone turned it into a library, and we kept these, so they closed this off, and it has this great storage. And in here is our gift wrapping room, station, our printer, things you don't want to really see, but it's ton of storage, and we have a coat closet there for taking coats in when people come, and it's just a great addition to this room. But the bookcases, I mean, we have all of our favorite, like I said, house, architecture, floral. My husband's an attorney, and so he has some of his law books down here, and then magazines that I refuse to part with. I've got some that, date back to 2000 that I've collected. And so it's just a great place to store everything, and it actually looks like there's order to it in a way, and it's very functional and easy to use. So we love this. I collect heron figurines. I collect the rust color, and this is the perfect place to store them because my cats are obsessed with them as well. And there was a time when a few of them were on a table, and the cats really had a good time with them. This little pumpkin, for example, used to have this pretty little green vine that went up and down, and one of them decided they were going to knock it off, and so they broke that. So they now live up here, which is super fun because they look so pretty against the green cabinet. So we love that. And then, yeah, super cool. And then I collect Limoges boxes, so they're there. John Paul gave me this one for Christmas this year because it looks like we have a Siamese cat, Posey, and it looks like him. So we love that. This chair I found, it's Egyptian, and we had nowhere to put it, and so we put it right here. My husband hates it because you can't get to the alcohol. Not that we don't have enough up here already, but I recovered it in this beautiful Osborne and Little velvet that I'm just obsessed with. And then we keep all of our placemats, napkins, napkin rings. Anything here is mostly for the dining room. And then we have a little wine refrigerator, more alcohol storage over here. And then I think the bottles are so beautiful, and I love them displayed. We have straws. We have these little stirrers here that have our names on them, and a little jumble. And then we have matches still from our wedding. So there's lots of little personal touches throughout over here, and I try to keep flowers over here at all times. This is another collection of malachite little pyramids and a little box, and I hope that windowsill is completely full with them at some point, but that's where I'm starting from now. And then we have the countertop material is soapstone. So the wallpaper, when we redid the room, I found this beautiful Schumacher wallpaper that has all these wonderful swans and pagodas and bridges and little peacocks, and it has such great color. I wanted this room to be, kind of moody. And so we picked the wallpaper, and then the trim kind of came from there. It's a custom color that we brought out from the wallpaper. And then also we, from there, picked the chairs and the fabric. And this is a beautiful ikat Mark Sykes did with Schumacher that I just love. And then another pair of Spitzmiller lamps that are in this beautiful cobalt blue that looks so pretty. And then this is a mirror from my friend Shima in Houston, and she does all of these beautiful shell mirrors and shell art. Really, she doesn't only do mirrors, but she gilds some of the shells and then puts it together, and it's just beautiful. It's one of my favorite things in the house. And so that's kind of where the color came from. And then we added these when we did the cabinets below. We added these cabinets here for storage. It's where all of our wine glasses, our double old fashions. I have to show you these. I had my 40th birthday party. We went to the Bahamas, and my girlfriend's, I'm obsessed with Elvis, and this was his logo with taking care of business. And so my monogram for the whole weekend was my initials, JMK, and it has 1980, the year I was born. And so these are some champagne flutes left over from my party. And so lots of like personal things and just things we love in there. And these are more Reed Smythe finds. She has the greatest stuff. So our bar is just like jam-packed full of fun things. I love this. I'm obsessed with appware. And my friend Stephanie Linton, she owns a great store in town called Clementine. And she actually brought this back for me on the plane from a trip she went to in Paris. And I think that's hysterical, thinking about her carrying this back but it's one of my favorite things. And sometimes we'll use it for flowers. It's huge. It holds 4 bottles of wine, but it's just a great piece. And then I collect faience, and this cabinet is full of all of my faience pieces. It's a porcelain from Paris. So coming from the dining room to the kitchen, we have this fun little vestibule that connects the keeping room, the powder room, the dining room, and the kitchen. We have this wonderful Schumacher tortoise wallpaper that just adds so much color and texture to this space, and it's almost a room of its own. And then you come into the kitchen, and this is where we just renovated. There were windows here that were a little bit higher, not as wide, and a little bit shorter. And one thing we wanted to achieve was having as much light in this room as possible. So fortunately, our builder saved those windows and we reused them in the entertainment room, but we were able to get as much light as possible. We actually used the whole wall to add windows. And a lot of our windows, because the house is so old, they're painted shut. And so this room is one of the few rooms that we get a nice little breeze in, and it's really great when we're cooking because we can open the windows, and on a beautiful day it's really a nice little breeze. So we were fortunate to be able to do that. We kept the layout of the kitchen pretty much intact. This is the way it always was. We integrated the refrigerator and kind of maximized storage as much as possible. Our kitchen, I designed with a friend of mine, Cindy Cantley, who's a wonderful kitchen designer here in Birmingham, and she helped me with the design, the cabinet profile, kind of held my hand. Doing your own house is very hard to pull the trigger on certain things, and she was wonderful working with on the project. This is a gift from my sister-in-laws from Ballard Design. It's a tortoise cake dome, and we love it in that corner. We actually use it a good bit, and it's just perfect there. The marble in the kitchen is a beautiful Calcutta Monet, and it has tons of veining and variation in color, and it's very forgiving. It takes a lot of abuse from us, and we just love it. This sink is from Shaw's. It's a farm sink, and it just fits the space so well. In these cabinets, we have a collection of, this is an antique china, and we have meat platter, 2 vegetable terrines, a soup terrine. It's just wonderful. Lots of fun pieces. We don't use it that often because we have several different patterns, but I think it looks really pretty displayed. And then we did this little ledge, which my husband loves because he uses every single thing up there pretty much every night. And then I have this little vase here I got from my friend Keith at Reed Smythe in Nashville. And it's just so pretty with flowers in it. We keep flowers in that pretty much all the time. And then these are my guinea hens that John Paul gave me for Christmas a couple of years ago, and they're just so cute. I love the way they sit, and I like they're kind of pecking at the food, which is super fun. On this side, we use all of this. It's just some everyday white china, some bowls we use for salad or serving, and then some pitchers, and then we use these a lot for soup. There's so much good stuff in that cabinet. I love it. And then this is kind of the island, if you will. It's really, it kind of sits in a different way than most islands do, but it's very functional from this side. And then we have bar stools on the keeping room side. And it's really just a great place for serving from. We always have, when we have friends over, a cheese plate or charcuterie board out here, and it's just great. We love it. The kitchen itself is fairly neutral. So I was on the hunt for the perfect rug because I wanted to have something very forgiving in color, but then also a beautiful pattern, and I wanted a medallion to kind of anchor everything. And my friend Paige Albright has a rug shop in Mountain Brook, and she had this, and we have absolutely loved it. It's just the perfect thing for in here. When we did the kitchen remodel, our architect spec'd these lights from Visual Comfort. They're very small, but they put out a lot of light. They kind of just go away. And then I wanted to have some low light over here by the island, so we found these. They're actually Visual Comfort as well, and then we put these pretty little silk shades from Circa Antiques on them, just to kind of give us some low light there. Okay, so coming from the kitchen, we come into our breakfast room, which is very cozy also. We have this pretty little tuxedo sofa that I found at an antique store that is just perfect, and it's actually really comfortable. I'll sometimes sit there with my laptop and do work, and then we have these pretty little chairs here that we can seat 4 people in here comfortably. So sometimes we'll have dinner in here. But yeah, that's our dining room, our breakfast room. We found this chandelier. It's from Oli's Studio, and it has the prettiest glow at night. It's all clamshells, and they're all, iridescent and beautiful, and it's just one of my favorite things. So back to the whole trying to put the house back intact. Everything was super white. This room included, and there was no crown mold. It was very boring. And so when we redid the kitchen, we had this beautiful tongue and groove paneling added. And then we added crown mold, and it just gave it, I wanted it to kind of have this country, inviting feel. And it also adds a nice texture. I just think it's really beautiful. Tongue and groove is all painted a beautiful color called Natural Cream from Benjamin Moore. And it's just warm, but kind of cool at the same time. And I just love what it does to the room. Okay, so now we're in our keeping room. This is where we live pretty much 90% of the time. It's where we watch TV at night. It's also very cozy. We usually fight over who gets to sit on the sofa, but then we also have a really comfortable club chair that you can throw your feet on. And this is where our mail comes. So I have all my magazines here that I go through, and we also have space to eat at the bar, which is really nice. This is a painting from an artist friend, Kristy McCormally. She's from Tuscaloosa, and it's just my favorite. I say that about everything, but it truly is one of my favorite pieces. I grew up in Gunnersville in North Alabama, and it's on the Tennessee River. So I'm very drawn to anything that has water in it. It's just in my blood, and I love it. There's something so peaceful about it. So you'll see a lot of paintings with water and kind of marshy scenes throughout. I have a pillow problem. So there's a lot of throw pillows you'll see around the house, but they just add so much texture and comfort, and they're just beautiful. And then Rocco has his big bone basket over here with all of his toys that he actually he goes through quite a bit. This is a good example of a favorite fabric. It's by Susan Roland for Lee Joffa, and it's just incredible. And it's on a Lee Industries chair. Over here under the TV, this is actually a Swedish reproduction piece, but it's super functional. We store all of our blankets in there, and it is a good spot to display, coffee table books. This is like our drop zone, which is hysterical because a lot of people have like a whole room dedicated to a drop zone, but this is where we put our keys, sunglasses, anything like that. This is one of my prized possessions. This is a sculpture from Frank Fleming. He's a Birmingham artist who passed away a few years ago, and he does a lot of work in bronze, but also a lot of work in clay. And this was a piece I found at an estate sale, and he's known for kind of his funky pieces, and this is just a big melon with this huge frog on it. And it cracks me up because we put him here so he could watch TV. So that's one of my favorite pieces in the house as well. So this room is one of the more neutral rooms in the house. The rest of the house has, lots of color, but this room is like my calm, even though we do have like the sofas covered in this paprika color, and it's still somewhat of a neutral. I love using neutrals when you can layer and add texture, and I think that's the way the neutrals really work, which was another reason why we wanted to do the tongue and groove. So you have this pattern almost on the wall, the striped rug, also from Paige Albright. It's very durable. It's just a flat weave that's reversible, and so there's lots of texture, but lots of creams and camel and just different shades of neutral. And we have another Spitzmiller lamp. I guess I've kind of started collecting them. No one does lamps quite like he does, and they're just beautiful. That's one of my favorite ones. That was actually a gift from a client. After I finished decorating their house, she gave me that as a Christmas present. So it's very sentimental as well. Now we're in our bedroom, our primary bedroom. This room is huge. It was very unexpected when I first came into the house because the house is over 100 years old, and to have a bedroom this large, to me, was kind of surprising. So I really have tried to cozy it up in the best way possible. We have this beautiful chaise over in front of the window that my cats and my dog absolutely love. You can just tell where they've been today already. And we have lots of pillows that match the draperies. And then we have our bedside tables. I got these at Dixon Rye in Atlanta. They're hand painted. They're from Italy and they're just super pretty. I love the finish. This is another one of John Paul's stash boxes. It's a good box for remotes when you don't want to look at them. We have these crystal lamps that are so pretty because they're in front of the window, so they let the light come in. They don't block anything. And then the draperies and some of the pillows you'll see throughout the room are from Cravat. It's just a very heavy velvet that really helped with the scale of the room, kind of bring some warmth to it. And then this is a beautiful, I love our Euroshams. It's a Lee Joffa silk stripe. And then we have Peacock Alley bedding. The room is, because it's so large, we have 2 rugs. We have this indoor-outdoor rug, which is very forgiving with the animals. It's just kind of, it almost looks like, it has lots of colors. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so pretty. And then we layered this Ushak rug over it that has beautiful blues, a pale pink, some browns, all the colors that are really beautiful together. And then over on this side of the room, we have 2 club chairs that are covered in opuzin fabric with this Lee Joffa fabric, and it's really beautiful. And this is actually a wedding gift. My friend Susan, who's a client and friend of mine, made this. She spent a lot of time on it, and it has all my favorite colors, and it works so well in here, and I just love it. And then we have another kind of empire chest from the Hen House Antiques also that adds a little bit of storage, but also it helps with the scale of the room, kind of add some weight here. All right, so, and again, my love of water. Here we have this beautiful oil painting that I got from Design Supply here in town, and it's just a beautiful water scene with the rocks and the cliff. And it's one of my favorite things in this room. On this side of the room, we have this really, really large, very deep French console with this faux marble top. And then I keep more books. On here, we've got these really cool plaster pieces from a friend of mine, Mackenzie Dove, that she made these. And they also move around the house. They're kind of fun to just, play with. They were on the mantle at some point, and the scale works really well in here. And then these are just some wedding photos, a picture of my grandmother and my mom and her siblings. It's really special to me. So we're now in our master bathroom. This was the first room we renovated. It was strange because there were these small linen closets that one accessed from the hallway and the other was from our bedroom. And so we were able to gain about 2 feet of space this way. The original bath was very narrow. And so we added a little bit of space that way. This area here, again, it was actually glass blocks for the window. We have these beautiful trees in the backyard. So we added larger windows that open. And John Paul loves to take baths, so this is like his soaking tub. And then our shower, we actually, our closet is in an old sleeping porch on the back side of the house. And so most of it is still closet, but we were able to take a little bit of real estate from the closet and add a nice walk-in shower, which is great. And we use this beautiful Calcutta marble that I just love. And then we have this beautiful Decorné wallpaper that is one of my favorite things in the house as well. I also love our countertops are Calcutta Viola, and it has a beautiful purple and kind of pink tones in it that just look so pretty with the wallpaper. And then we have these really pretty polished nickel faucets and these mirrors that are antique, kind of Art Deco. Again, another modern element that I really love. When you come up to the second floor, we have this really great landing that has some beautiful art from Emily Brown, more William Yoward Hurricanes. Then we have this beautiful chair that I love. It's kind of a catch-all at most times, but it has another Be-Viz pillow on it that I love. And then this beautiful hurricane that is, it looks old, but it's a reproduction. I actually got it at a cash and carry sale at ADAC in Atlanta from, at the time it was Griselle and Mann, recently closed, but it's one of my favorite fixtures as well. It has little ram's heads on it. It's kind of dirty, so ignore that. So this is one of our guest bedrooms. It's awesome. I love this room. This was the first piece of art I ever bought. It's by Kim Schuessler, and I bought it from my friend Langston. Her mom had the Monty Stabler Gallery that's since closed, but it's been all over the house. I love it in here. We move art around a good bit. I love it in here because the room's kind of full and I don't really need a piece of furniture here, so it just fills the space up, and the colors look so pretty in here. I love these. I got these in High Point last year. These kind of chinoiserie red bedside tables and another pair of Spitzmiller lamps that are in this beautiful coral color that I just love. And then this is an old Angish pattern that I just love. And then we had an upholstered headboard. It's super comfortable. And then this Holly Hunt fabric on the Roman shades and the draperies. And then I have some watercolor little landscapes with, again, more water scene over there. And this beautiful Swedish chair that I had recovered in some extra of the bedding fabric. That's just such a pretty little piece over there. And this piece I actually have, it's a bedroom set. We have the bed to it. There's bedside tables. And then this beautiful armoire that we keep extra summer clothes in, a TV, extra bedding. It's super functional. But I mixed the pieces up. So this is in here. The other tables are elsewhere. And then a friend of mine has the bed right now that's using it. But it's just great storage. And I love the texture and the color. It's so pretty in here. And then this is a door that just goes out to a little balcony. So this is our powder room. It has one of the, actually the only other original fixture in the house was this crystal chandelier. And it was originally the dining room chandelier. And I love it. It's absolutely beautiful, but it was so small in the dining room. So when we redid one of the renovations of the house, we repurposed the chandelier into the powder room. And it's just so pretty, and it cracks me up because if you're over 6 feet, you hit your head. I think that's so fun. The wallpaper is from Zoffany, and there is no molding in here, so I wanted the wallpaper to just wrap the room. So we covered the ceiling, and it's in this gilded fern, and it's just incredible. And then we redid, there was a pedestal sink, and so we did this from Palmer Industries, this unlacquered brass console with this beautiful Calcutta marble top, and then we have another little bench that lives underneath it that 90% of the time there's a cat sitting there. I don't know where he is today, but I love Leontine linens. Jane Scott Hodges is a friend, and these are her from her store, and they have my monogram and John Paul's monogram on them. And then another Reed Smythe piece. I love this, and we keep flowers in it at all times. This, I have to tell you about 20 years ago, we were at the Paris flea market, me and a couple of friends, and it was one of the first things I bought. It's just an old tapestry, and I had it on the back of a sofa for a long time, and the cats kept messing with it, and so I have to get things out of their reach. So when we redid the bathroom, I turned the tapestry into a shade, and so it's kind of preserved in a way because they can't get to it. And I actually love what it does for the room. It's just beautiful. And then here I have a couple of pieces of art, a Haruni, which is a New Orleans artist that I love. He kind of looks at you, which is great. And then I love this little sunburst. Oh, home is everything. It's our haven, it's our sanctuary. My husband and I love being home with our animals. We have a dog, Rocco, and 3 cats, Whitney, Ray J, and Posey. I have to give them a shout out. But it's where, we're most comfortable. My husband loves to cook, and we just love nothing more than coming home at the end of the day and spending time here and relaxing and being with each other.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to Homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.